Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to RSEA Park in Moorabbin. Great to have everyone back on board for the Intra-Club match on this Thursday afternoon. We've got a pretty strong lineups across Team Black and Team White. We'll go through some of the new faces for you in just a moment. Darren Parkin is my name. We'll also catch up with a few of the guys that aren't playing, starting off very shortly with outgoing dual skipper in Jaron Geary, who will have a big role to play on field throughout 2022 and been a tremendous leader over the last 4 or 5 years after taking on the mantle from Nick Rewalt. We'll talk about a couple of terrific initiatives as well. And of course, if you are watching this stream this afternoon, you are a member. It is a members stream. But if you do know some friends or family that are sitting on the fence, or they've got some busy weekends for the year and they're not sure which way to go, there is a 2-for-1 offer today as part of the Saints Membership Day in partnership, of course, with 1116 SEN. So a chance to sign up 2 for the price of 1 if you jump on board at 1300 467 246 for what promises to be a huge season. As I said, Darren Parkin is my name. Chris Neese is with us, of course, from the Saints media team. And Chris, nice to have you on board. It's great to be out here again. Obviously, we've seen the girls play a number of games at this magnificent venue this year, which gets better every time we come, but the boys get their turn.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here for the 2022 Member Night powered by AIA Australia. As you said, Parko, the girls will get their run here in a little bit with as they approach the tail end of their season. Hopefully there's at least a couple of games on the cards here. But if we look out onto the turf, how immaculate is it to have footy back at the Moorabbin? The boys coming on obviously first. The girls will be having their open training session shortly afterwards. But as we said, Saints footy back for a few weeks now. But as we look out onto the turf that has underdone that multi-million-dollar restoration, it's so good to finally see it getting some proper good use.
Yeah, it's always magnificent. I think for every diehard Saints fan, whenever you come back here, even if it's every week during an AFLW season or to watch training, it's just got that special feel about it. I mean, I remember, early to mid-90s first coming, or early 90s. Obviously, we stopped playing here at the end of 92, but coming here with my old man and just the memories that you have of the place and the chances that you get to head out there on the park as well. And obviously, it's quite fitting when you speak about spiritual heartlands that we mention the Danny Frawley Centre. And I'm keen to have a chat to Jaron Geary and Jack Billings and a couple of those guys about the recent trip up to Ballarat and obviously that part of Spud's legacy. But the Danny Frawley Centre is set to open to the public on the 7th of March, my wedding anniversary as a side note. But the centre will incorporate a 25-metre lap pool, hydrotherapy pool, high-tech recovery centre, obviously community gym, allied health services working in the various spaces, mental health and other things as well, host of psychologists, researchers and program operators. So to keep track of all of that, you can follow the journey on socials by heading to @DannyFrawleyCentre on Instagram, and we'll tell you a little bit later on about how you can be involved in basically having a permanent place amongst the Danny Frawley Centre grandstand as well. A lot of you would have sat in a particularly familiar seat at this venue for a number of years, and what better way to commemorate that than getting your name on the Danny Frawley Centre grandstand, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Chris, I guess we'll go through the guys that you won't see today, and then we'll go through some of the new faces and some of the what you might call top-up players coming through from our VFL affiliate in Sandringham. But who won't we see today?
Absolutely. There are a couple of faces who will be sitting out. Obviously, Jaron Geary among them. He will be joining us very shortly to chat a few things, obviously, with the pre-season, how he's tracking the captaincy handover as well, with Jack Steele officially taking the reins. Paddy Ryder, Dan Hannabury as well will be sitting out just to, I think after a certain number of pre-seasons, you don't have to really start worrying too much.
Just plug them in, they'll be
absolutely, right. But they're all right to go. Nick Cauffield, obviously, we got the really upsetting news the other fortnight with the season-ending ACL injury. And Josiah Kyle, Leo Connolly and Jack Billings will also be sitting out today's proceedings. But we'll run through the black side first. And I have to say the two names up the top, Parko, in Zach Jones and Jade Gresham, they will certainly be a sight for sore eyes, having missed a fair chunk of last year through injury. Obviously, Gresh going down in round 3 with that Achilles injury that spelled an end to his season after another interrupted year the season prior. And Zach Jones as well coming back. We saw parts of him last year come back after doing what was really quite a nasty injury with the quad tear. Yeah. So it's good to see him back up and running, and will be certainly forming a strong part of that midfield alongside Gresham and the skipper, Jack Steele.
Yeah, Gresham, almost a new recruit. He's only played 3 of the last 32 games for the club, so that obviously included the run to the finals in 2020, where he went down late that year with a back, and then obviously last year's injury. So to put a player of that class straight into the lineup is huge. A few guys you'll see Anthony Seaton in the number 15, obviously Sandringham VFL listed player. You'll see Oscar Adams, key back, obviously taken with our, I guess you'd say, second live pick in the draft last year once we'd used the academy bids. But also you'll see Jack Peris, the son, of course, of Nova Peris, the dual Olympian. Very exciting. He was rookie listed. And in Team Black, you'll see Jared Lynott as well, former Port Adelaide player. He'll be wearing number 31. He's obviously one of a couple of guys fighting for a list spot at the moment. So you'll see him on that side. And then we'll talk about Patrick Nash on Team Yellow as well, who's another fighting for a spot, the ex-Tiger and Bulldogs. So we'll go through the yellow team shortly, but I guess that's a bit of a summary of the black team. And in a moment we will welcome Jaron Geary. But yeah, Jared Lynott, he's one certainly to watch, as well as the likes of Matthew Ellison and these sorts of guys that we didn't see a lot of last year that we'd love to see step up.
Absolutely, and on the yellow side as well, there's a couple of bigger names on there as well that we haven't quite seen a full look at. This will be our first real opportunity. Nazaya Wanganeen-Malira headlines those, obviously taken at pick number 11 at the most recent draft. Very excited to see his real clean skills on display. Hopefully he's got a role coming off that wing, potentially the half-forward line. Be great to see him in action. Mitch Owens as well. He's really caught the eye this pre-season. He's done quite a bit of work inside that midfield, done a lot of centre bounce work at intra-clubs, going at oftentimes opposite Jack Steele. He's got Brad Crouch in support many times, but he's one to watch, and obviously Marcus Windhager as well will be great to have running through that lineup. Tommy Campbell is another new Saints face, obviously former Bulldogs and North Melbourne ruckman. Max Heath as well. Hard to believe he's been on the list for 8 months, but we haven't really seen him properly in Saints colours, given he was a mid-season pickup at the rookie draft last year. So a couple of nice names on there as well. And as you touched on before, Mitch Reardon, Darby Hipwell, Finley Bain and Oscar Lewis will all be running out as well, VFL listed boys who will be helping to make up the numbers today at RCA Park.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to call a bit of NAB League last year, and Owens in one of the rep games was an emergency, and then actually got a call up very late, had 28 touches and was probably second best on ground behind Dacos and lit that game up. Windhager is a really exciting small forward as well, and Max Heath played a lot of upper age footy and obviously played a bit of NAB League last year whilst he was still on St Kilda's list and was sort of carving it up. So you'd be really excited to see how those guys transition, but also really excited to see our first guest get a reasonable crack at it this year as well. Of course, he's led the club over the last half a dozen seasons, relinquishing the captaincy in the off-season for Jack Steele to take the standalone role. I speak of Jaron Geary. He's got a big role to play on field, and Jaron, thanks for jumping on with us.
No worries, thanks for having me today.
How's the body feeling, obviously, after a couple of gruelling years and obviously a chance to focus on footy only, if you will?
Yeah, no, it's going okay. I still progressing along, just still trying to get my shoulder right. So it's been a bit of a period now. I think it's about 6 months since I had the injury, but yeah, it's progressing really well, and hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks I'll be able to start getting into some match simulation stuff.
As you said, your time on field has been limited over the past little bit, but off field, your leadership obviously has been a really defining feature with Jack Steele as well, handing over the captaincy this year. Can you talk us through some of that, and I guess how you felt it was ready for Jack to properly take the reins?
Oh yeah, I think there've been conversations we've been having really for the last sort of 18 months. Probably all the way back in 2020 when Steely sort of stepped into the leadership group. He was playing some really good footy, and probably identified that he was probably the guy that was going to lead the club in after I'd sort of finished in that role. And we had conversations whether he did it on his own last year, and in the end we decided that it was best for me to be there to support him, albeit in the end more in an off-field capacity. And then clearly the way he performed last year, and then the way his leadership has grown over the last 12 to 18 months, I think it was just the right time for him to do it on his own, and he was happy to do that. And still work with him really closely, and we still lean on each other. But yeah, he's in a really good position now to lead the club for a number of years, and the boys are really happy to run out behind him. And as you would, he's a good player, and he's become a really strong leader.
Speaking from your leadership experience, what was, I guess, the biggest thing you learnt over the course of the way? And if there was something that you were able to pass on to Jack or other young leaders, what would it be in terms of, I guess if you were to get that role, what to expect from it?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to just be yourself. I think, I had some really strong leaders before I took over, and Rui was the captain for a long time, but he wasn't the only leader at the footy club. Like Lenny Hayes was a great leader, and really, if it wasn't for Rui, he would have probably captained the side for 10 to 12 years in his own right. So different styles of leadership and different people, and Lenny would have been a terrific captain for a long time. If he had been captain, he would have done it a lot different to the way Rui did it, and Rui is clearly a great leader. So it was, I've had just conversations about just doing it your way, being yourself, and not feeling like you have to be something that you're not. And Steely's done a really good job at that. He's a pretty quiet guy and quite reserved, bit like Lenny, I suppose, and leads more with his actions. He certainly has started to talk more and lead more with his voice, and I think he'll get more comfortable in doing so, but he certainly doesn't have to be the guy that is the loudest amongst the group. He just needs to be himself, and so far he's done a really good job at that.
Pre-season so far, Gears, it's been a bit of a gruelling one, I think it's fair to say. Obviously, the incoming addition of Nick Walsh, our new head of high performance and conditioning, has been keeping you guys hard at work, been cracking the whips, and I think there's been a fair bit of running added to the training regimen. Can you talk us a bit through that?
I've done a lot of pre-seasons now. I think they're all gruelling. It's been refreshing to have Walshy. He's been around a while. He's been to a few footy clubs, and he's an Irish lad, and he's up and about and bubbly, but he's also got a bit of authority about him, which I like. He doesn't hold back and tends to pull the guys into line pretty quick if they're either not doing the right thing or they're slacking off. So he's been a welcome addition. He's been great for the program, and I think he's just kept us on the straight and narrow, and we're in a really good position. I think there's only 3 or 4 guys not playing tonight, so that's probably testament to how his program's going in the off season.
Thoughts on some of the new guys from what you've observed? We just spoke about Windhager and Owens and Wanganeen and Paris, etc. I guess some standouts for you. Yeah,
those guys have been really strong. I think Owens in particular really he's been really strong, and just comes with a big frame, to be honest. Like, he's got a good body, ready to go. He's going to be a pretty strong inside midfielder, I think. He's only young, so he's got a bit of time to develop, but it wouldn't surprise me if he played footy relatively early on in the season. Some of the other guys, obviously Ben Patton hasn't played footy for a year. Jay Gresham we haven't seen much of over the last sort of couple of years, so be good for them guys to get a run really for the first time in almost 12 months. Patto's almost 2 years really. Gresh obviously hasn't had much of a go on the field for a while, so it'd be good to see them guys get through some footy today. I don't think Gresh will play the whole game, but it'd be good to see them guys out there, and hopefully they can do a bit of damage out there.
Now, we've seen you in a few areas on the field, Gears, these past few seasons. We've seen you as the defensive forward, we've seen you along the wing, we've seen you in your customary back position. Where have you been sort of looking at this season? You honed in on anyone in particular? Or?
Oh, not really. I think I'll need to be flexible. I think I need to be able to play in a multitude of positions. I've been training majority with the midfield, to be honest. Haven't trained a lot as a defensive forward, been training more as a power target forward. Nah, not really. I've done a little bit of work for the midfield, more because I probably haven't done a lot of that for a while. I sort of started my career up the ground a little bit on the wing and half forward, so I did start there in that position, but I haven't done a lot of that over the last few years, so I've sort of been getting familiar with that position up through the midfield and on the wing, so I tend to know the half-back line reasonably well, and I can go forward and play a role, but I haven't done a lot of midfield work over the last few years, so I've been sort of getting my teeth into that, and I'm just happy to play wherever they need me, and I think I'm going to have to be flexible throughout the year.
How significant was the recent trip to Ballarat? And obviously we're talking a lot about the Danny Frawley Centre, and you've been at the club whilst he was working at the club in the past. How important is that in terms of the lessons for the group? Oh yeah, very important. I think it's, Spud was such a important figure of our footy club and remains that. Someone who is really loyal, and the way he spoke about the footy club, I haven't heard anyone speak with that much passion really about the club. Spud was always really good in that space, and I think it's just good for the guys that are new to the club or guys that haven't been around that long to hear exactly what Spud was like and some of the history of the club. And I think it's important to sort of get your past players back involved, which we've sort of started to do. We probably didn't do that well for a period of time. We've sort of started to get some past players back and really tell stories and the history of, particularly Moorabbin. I mean, we probably lost a little bit of our identity when we went down to Seaford, because this is really our spiritual home for so long, and to get back here and sort of hear some stories about past players and what it used to be like here is really important. And clearly the Danny Frawley Centre now looks terrific, and in a couple of weeks' time when it's open, hopefully
many people come down and use it. It's going to be a great facility to help a lot of people out.
Absolutely. As you said, Gears, Danny Frawley Centre will open on March the 7th, obviously powered by AIA, who are also powering tonight's event. You can also purchase your personally engraved plaque, which will sit on one of the 1,000 grandstand seats there. So make sure, Saints fans, to get on the phones if you want to really preserve your name into Moorabbin history, to call 1300 467 246 and secure your place in history. As well, we're speaking about new facilities, Gears. The turf, we touched on it before, finally good. It's been a bit of a nomadic pre-season, I think it's fair to say, been a bit of here, there and everywhere. Pretty nice to finally settle down at home, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think we've done well to get out here tonight. I don't think they were too keen to get us on here yet, but we've done well to get out here, and yeah, looking forward to having more of a permanent home for training. We have been around a few grounds around Bayside, which is great. A lot of the community grounds have been great in accommodating us, but it'll be it'll be great to get out there, and it'll be good to see the AFLW girls hopefully get the opportunity to play a couple of games before the season ends as well. So it looks brilliant. Done a lot of work on it, and hopefully we get back out there as soon as possible.
Gears, appreciate you stopping by. Good luck for the year ahead, and well done on all you've done so far. We look forward to seeing you out there.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Jaron Geary there, and as you heard from Chris, obviously, if you would like to get involved and get your name on one of those plaques with 1,000 seats overlooking this magnificent venue, you can give our club a call on 1300 467 246 or visit saintsmembership.com.au. All funds raised from those purchases will go towards supporting the Danny Frawley Centre for Health and Wellbeing, which is due for completion in the early part of this year and obviously set to open to the public on the 7th of March. Special mention also to AIA, who are powering tonight's member night at RSEA Park. Of course, they are one of Australia's leading life and health insurance specialists. They're committed to the health and wellbeing of our community and helping to power the Danny Frawley Centre, as we said, which opens shortly. And there is a special offer available for Saints fans through to the end of March. If you head to aia.com.au/Saints and you sign up to an eligible policy, you can receive up to $900 in Saints credit over the course of 3 years. So if you want to receive that, jump on board at aia.com.au/Saints. We're not too far from getting underway, and joining us is Jack Billings, who's another that'll be missing tonight, but not too far away from a return over the coming weeks. But obviously practice matches against Carlton and Essendon not that far off. Jack, thanks for jumping on.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this afternoon. We actually haven't, I assume you've spoken about, we haven't actually been able to train on at home ground here at RSEA Park over summer because they've redone it, and it's great to be on here, and it looks immaculate. So looking forward to it, and I just had a little hammy about a month ago now, and I'm all good now. I could have played today, but just going the more cautious option and train this morning, and I'll be right for next week against Carlton.
Absolutely, that one at Icon Park on Thursday the 24th. Make sure you get your tickets, Saints fans, to head down to that one. I guess, JB, how's the pre-season tracking for you? We were speaking to Jaron before, and he was saying it was a very sort of intensive sort of pre-season this year with a couple of new faces and obviously new boys coming in as the Saints take their position at the moment. Can you sort of run through what the year's been like for you?
Yeah, it's been really good. I think for me personally, had a good period before Christmas, and probably going back to the off season, I was able to get a good break, sort of rest and recover and get right, and then sort of just really ramp it up. And the pre-season's been good, albeit the little setback about a month ago. But the good thing with hammies is you can start running pretty quick. So next few weeks with the games are pretty important. So looking forward to getting a hit out.
We've got Wanganeen Malera on the wing in front of us, about to start. Obviously, it's a position you know well, Jack. How's Nasai been tracking over the pre-season? What have you liked about him?
Yeah, he's been really good. He actually, when he got drafted, came and stayed with me until Christmas, so that was really good. And he's obviously very talented, really good skills, and hopefully we see that tonight. But I guess from our point of view, as a team and his teammates, we don't want to put too much pressure on him. Clearly, being our first pick last year, he's there'll be expectations around him, but he's just got to build nicely and just play his role. So I guess tonight's his first opportunity to do that.
And as we have a look at the starting midfield out there at the moment, we've got Rowan Marshall, Jack Steele, Dan McKenzie will be floating along that wing, Seb Ross and Zach Jones in there. And we touched on him a little bit earlier in the white side. Mitch Owens as well in centre bounce, which is a great sign to see. Jack Bytel as well. Be great to get some footy under his legs. Tom Campbell as well, new face in the ruck, will be pairing up against Rowan Marshall, obviously with no Paddy Ryder tonight. And of course, Brad Crouch as well in there. So we get things underway at RCA Park.
Yeah, so good chance for Tom Campbell at his third home against Rowan Marshall, who'll be looking to stay injury-free over the course of the year. Zach Jones with his hands on the ball first up and tackled immediately by the player we spoke of in Owens, who's got that good frame. So a secondary bounce in the middle. Marshall and Campbell just about call that a draw. Might have been some high contact in there, but the umpire calling for a bounce. Zach Jones first hands on it twice and tackled by Owens on both occasions. Marshall used the body well that time from the back of the contest. This time Steele plays the role of tackler as Crouch received it from Bytel and had his kick smothered. Now Jones eventually gets a clean possession, having had his hands on the ball for the majority of the early stages of the game. Some good pressure in that forward setup as eventually Sinclair will help to sweep it out of that defensive end. Good closing speed coming across there from Highmore to fist that ball back inside 50 for Team Black. It's worked up towards the wing position. Kent had to spoil that one in the end after initially being the target, and it goes over the boundary line. But in terms of guys, Jack, that have stood out for you over this pre-season, you've done a few. A lot of people have spoken about Owens, but who are some of the guys that perhaps fans wouldn't have seen a lot of or haven't been spoken a lot about?
Yeah, I was going to say Mitch. I know he's been spoken about, but I think the fans will be very excited to watch him play not only today but this year, and just watch him develop. He's a really good size and he's got so much developing to do, and already had some really strong training sessions in his first pre-season. But yeah, I think apart from Mitch, Jack Higgins has been awesome this pre-season. Obviously the last month I've been really out there, but he's been training the house down, so watch Higo to have a really big campaign this year, and then probably Maxi King's the other one. I'm interested to see how he goes tonight. He could kick a big bag, but just his competitiveness and his contested work in the air has been, he's just dominated training sessions. So, those two probably stand out.
Just saw Windhager push up well on the lead and take a mark, and you would have noticed that the player contesting at the top of the square was Max Heath, so he's obviously going to be doing some ruck work but also playing out of the goal square at the moment. So that was good to see a couple of those guys involved in that, as Campbell did pretty well in the ruck on that occasion. Brad Crouch trying to buff it out of the way. There's Patrick Nash involved in that as well, who's one of the players training for a list spot at the moment. Kick going up in the air, nice hands through there in a tight spot from Owens. Then Hill goes underground. Campbell used the body well. Kent underground hand pass. Battle pokes the kick in low. Bytel feeds out the hand pass. Tucked up against the boundary and the 50. It sets it up towards the top of the square, and that's a very nice mark taken there by Oscar Adams, another of those first-time Saints, taken with pick 51 in last year's draft, and a neat hit up to Zach Jones. That was encouraging, Jack Billings, to see Oscar Adams go up and take a nice clung.
Yeah, that was a great grab. Another first-year player. He's been good. He's settled in well, and a likely type.
As it's worked forward, Higgins was the target of that, but getting in the way was Webster, who fed Hill, gave it to Bytel, who didn't get rid of it cleanly, the tackling machine. And Jack Steele getting him. And the skipper receives the free kick, which he'll go on his left foot up inside, and that's lovely use of the body by Gresham. And great to see him back in, I was going to say the red, white and black, but in the black today, and he'll line up from directly in front.
Gresham's been awesome. He's probably another one that stood out. Obviously coming off Achilles last year, which is pretty devastating injury, 12 months sort of out. But the last few weeks, not training, I've actually been able to do basically my whole rehab program with him, and I've noticed a big shift in the way he's gone about it, and I'm very excited for him to get back, and he's kicked the first goal. So.
Goal umpire barely having to move for that one as Gresham slots it from about 45 out, dead in front. 1-0 to start off proceedings at RCA Park, of course, at the member night, powered by AIA Australia.
It was indeed one straight 6 to Team Black after Team White. It's fair to say it had most of the territory in the early stages of the game, but that's a sight for sore eyes for Saints fans. Jay Gresham, of course, when he first arrived at the club, showed a lot of that forward craft, has spent a lot of time in the middle, but we know can play very much as a genuine small forward and be a very dangerous player, probably quite similar to our guest here in Jack Billings, who sort of mixed a lot of that time between forward and midfield across the early stages of his career. And in terms of those practice matches, Jack, just reiterating, you're on track for the next couple?
Yeah, definitely. I actually could have played today,
Yep.
so I'm all good, and just did a big training session this morning, about 12 Ks with a couple of the other guys, and felt good. And it was more just decided to go on the side, more err on the side of caution. So yeah, I'll be right for next week, and looking forward to the Pracky games. I always love getting a few good hit-outs in before the season starts, and trying to get that rhythm and flow before we get into it.
As Ben Long was involved in that, if the marshal sort of flicked it clear of the pack, it'll go over for a throw-in about 70 metres around from the left. What do we call? Obviously, the right has always been referred to as the South Road end here. I've actually drawn a blank as to what we used to call the left of screen.
I think we came up with Linton Street
Linton
end
Street
before,
end,
but I think there is another one out there, as you
or the
said.
Bay end, or perhaps the Frankston end, if you will, off the outside of the boot there by Bytel. Inside.
Bytel started really well.
Yeah, has absolutely. Good hands by Dean Kent, who's also been fairly prominent. And that was Jack Hayes just putting a little bump on there as well, who's another one to keep an eye on as a relative new face. And you would have seen 48 run past, which is Finlay Bain, one of the Sandringham VFL-listed players that has stepped up to have a little bit of a run. Rowan Marshall has taken that out of the ruck, which he's done a lot of over the course of his career. It is a bit of a trademark as the quick kick out of that pack goes out of bounds on the full.
Darragh Joyce taking this one in, gets a bit of run. Nice kick outside 50. Contest going between King and Howard. Loose ball in dispute. Sharman on Wilkie, that's one that we'll keep a close eye on as well. Jimmy Webster somehow keeps that ball in play, squeezes out on the left. Bad bounce, favours Matty Allison, brought down by Maxi Heath. Ball in dispute there, and brought down very nicely by Wanganeen Malira. Stoppage inside 50, 30 out, 1-0 to start off proceedings.
Yeah, Cooper Sharman's obviously dominated the back end of last year, but he's never played on Cal Wilkie before. So
no.
That'll be an interesting challenge.
And that's been one as well that's been a consistent theme throughout this pre-season. Cal has enjoyed giving Cooper the challenge, which is great. It's almost... we'll see on the Saints channels coming out in the next little bit as that one's cannoned into the woodwork.
Jack Hayes, good quick hands there to get boot to ball and just cannoning that one into the post. So that's encouraging. Jack, obviously there are a lot of Jacks at the club, but Jack Hayes could be another. What have you made of him?
Yeah, he's been really good. Obviously that...
Brilliant mark from another Jack right there.
Patto.
Oh, Patto it is.
Yeah.
Looking very similar out there with the zinc across the face.
Yeah. Hayes has been really impressive. He clearly he's experienced, captain of his Sandford team. They won the flag and he's best on ground just the season gone. So he comes in with a lot of form. He can play a number of positions. So I think he's definitely going to contribute to our side this year, and wrapped to have him.
Speaking of Patto, who took that big mark in the centre of the ground, obviously it's fantastic to see him back out there after the horrific double leg break he sustained around this time last year. Obviously, Patto's your housemate, JB. How was that sort of period like? Obviously, would have been a tough one for him coming back from such a significant injury as Mark is taken by Darragh Joyce. Yeah,
he's been outstanding. He actually surprised me how quickly he sort of got back to a level of being able to train and run around and do everything. And he's very professional and hard-working the way he goes about his footy, and no surprises with his rehab. So, very, very excited to have him back. Obviously, he's like a little brother to me, so I'm pretty pumped to have him back out there. And I think the other thing for him is just to not put too much pressure on himself, and just hopefully find his feet and rhythm in the next few weeks, and he'll be right.
couple of possessions in quick time there for Wanganeen after he received initially from Nash. There was Hayes who came out and took that mark on the lead and fed the hand pass out. Kick goes into the path of Dean Kent, who's got Sinclair going past. He'll have the shot at goal. It looks all right, just drifting back not far enough. And one behind to Dean Kent, who's been pretty busy across the half-forward line in the early stages of the game. And that was a pretty good transition. A lot's been said, Jack, before we let you go about Wanganeen's ball use. Obviously was touted as being arguably the best kick in the draft as Wilkie takes an intercept mark here and about to send Team White back in. But has that been a standout across this pre-season?
Yeah, it has. He can clearly use the ball very well. He, like I said before, he stayed with me up until Christmas, so he was pretty quick to tell me that he thought he already had the best kick in the house. So we got a bit competitive out the backyard a few times and had a few competitions. So I tried to put him back in his place. But he's very balanced and great with ball in hand. And he doesn't need to get it 30 times to have a real impact when he gets the ball. So I think that's the most important part. So hopefully we can all see that today and going forward this year.
I think very similar things were said around your draft year as well, Jack. But thank you very much. Good luck and look forward to seeing you out there over the next couple of weeks.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Jack Billings stopping by as Zach Jones, who's been pretty busy, sells a bit of candy, gives the hand pass off to Rowan Marshall, who sends it in the long direction. Here's Dougal Howard at the fall of the ball there. Ben Long then turns tackler. Ball is eventually squeezed out to Sinclair. And now Nash. This is Patrick Nash, son of Chris Nash, the former Richmond and briefly Port Adelaide star, who's had a list stint at a couple of AFL clubs, Richmond under the father son and the Bulldogs prior to that. Windhager didn't get a particularly kind bounce there as it's buffeted forward by Sharman, who's in unfamiliar territory down at the opposition's defensive 50, and he's been penalised for incorrect disposal there. And the free kick will go just outside 50 here.
Windhager there with that ball. Couple of options floating around inside forward 50. One who isn't in there, who is playing in the defensive end, is Josh Battle. Normally would see him floating in there, but he's got the matchup on Tim Membry. So great to see him finding a proper home as Windhager goes for the shot from outside the paint.
Yeah, very confidently went back straight away, and it's going to land about a metre short. Sharked at the back there by Tom Campbell, who fed the hand pass out. A kick from, that was Oscar Lewis, was smothered, came back towards him in the pocket there. It's now trapped very close to the boundary line. The 1-2 situation as it's fed through nicely by Kent, who goes on the right and misses in much the same fashion to his earlier miss on the left from a very similar spot. So two behinds to he is very quickly moved back into play by Darragh Joyce to the skipper in Jack Steele, who feeds it further to Hunter Clark, another that obviously had some injuries last year. That unfortunate incident against Adelaide. Sent down towards the wing position. Cooper Sharman, there was that leap. Yeah, as he flew over the top of the pack, went off the ground there, but Webster playing, often hate the expression quarterback role, but he was sort of sweeping around the back there, chips it towards centre half forward. The target of that kick was Ryan Burns, who's flipped his number from 31 to 13. Zach Jones feeds the hand pass over to Sharman, who feeds it further afield. Mark taken at half forward as Team Black looking for a second goal. We'll send this long down towards a one-on-one at the top of the square. Butler got one grab, almost the second. Couldn't quite bring it down, and there'll be a bounce 15 metres out.
Tell you what, Dan Butler has been very busy. Yeah. As we see him here, it was only a few moments ago, he was down deep in that defensive arc. He's been floating in between along the wings as well, and now getting in the thick of it to try and get Black their second goal of the day.
Hunter Clark with an end-over-end ball down towards Marshall, who just couldn't quite trap it on the bounce. It's going to likely come back in as the hurried kick out will be cut off by Jack Peris, and you would expect a bit of leg speed there, and given the pedigree as the ball is sent long, leading target comes out. He had his name all over that, Max King, and sort of had a sight for sore eyes with Jade Gresham earlier. That is very exciting to see Max King with a run and a clean jump at the footy. Not going to be too many times he's not going to take the mark in that situation.
Absolutely. He's looking terrific out there. Had a great pre-season. Put on a little bit of size as well, which will never go astray as he looks to, go toe-to-toe with some of the game's best forwards. He's obviously wearing Dougal Howard for tonight so far as he lines up 30 out on a slight angle, kicking it to the South Road end.
And the kick is just drifting across to the right-hand side. So first blemish for Team Black, who are 1-1-7. And Team White, two behinds early in this contest. So Jack Sinclair, he's got a bit of a streamlined mullet operation. We'll go long with that kick. Max Heath lost his footing, but it did clear a path for Jack Hayes to take a nice mark. And he tries to move it on out into space for Dean Kent, who's had half a dozen touches, and that is a leg cannon as he thumps that about 65 metres up inside towards Jack McHale, just for something different. Jack McHale touches that one on the way over the boundary line in the pocket. It's a decent roost off a step from Dean Kent.
Not too bad at all. He's got quite a leg on him, Kegger. He can really unload one. I think there was one of the games last year, might have my memory wrong, but against Port Adelaide, was able to show he's definitely got a leg on and a half on him.
So we see Max Heath doing a bit of ruck work there as Seb Ross quick hands out to Gresham, who shows good agility there. The kick was, I believe, touched off the boot, so that will be a throw in. Dean Kent rushing around there, I think eyes lighting up for a shot at goal, but we heard the deflection from here.
And there, Owens as well involved in that contest. He's been very lively so far, I think it has to be said. Playing a lot on that centre bounce work, and now currently lining up alongside Seb Ross at the boundary throw-in inside White Team's forward 50.
Yeah, he's certainly a player to watch, Owens, and it was a nervous draft night for a lot of Saints fans with the academy rules as they are around bids in the top 20, but thankfully that went the right way as a free kick will go the way of Team White for deliberate out of bounds against Gresham to be taken by Kel Wilkie, who's just sort of patrolled along the middle part of the ground, taking intercept marks, and who has not missed a game since arriving at the club. Sets that one up at the back of the pack. Good fly from Heath. Got a couple of hands to the ball there. There is Bytel, who floats the kick towards goal. And with that sort of goal sense that we saw in that last game against Fremantle last year, didn't need much of a look there to split the middle. And that's a very encouraging sign for Jack Bytel.
On the opposite foot as well, Not too bad. Just being able to snatch that one out of traffic, whirl around, and sort of floated through. That one didn't get a lot of penetration, but certainly got the height it needed to clear the goal line. Current score 1-1 apiece.
So we're looking at this stage in a pretty even contest. Obviously, the sides balanced quite nicely, and Bytel, talk about a lot of the reasons for excitement. You point to the obvious ones, like the return of Gresham and the new faces in the team, like Windhager and Owens, but Bytel, that encouragement that he showed every time he played last year, but particularly the finish to the season with a couple of goals and 20-odd touches against Freo.
And here he'll be now lining up alongside, looks to be Jade Gresham, actually.
And you've got Marshall going up in the ruck there against the youngster in Heath, who gets his opportunity. Team Black going forward. Ben Long will gather it. Good vision there, or awareness, to hand pass over his head to McKenzie, who thumps a long left foot ball down towards the top of the goal square. King with the vertical leap couldn't quite take the mark. Hurried ball out of there by Higgins. Goes away to the left-hand side. So 1-2-8 apiece. Sinclair offered in that role of designated kicker, playing on to himself and delivering neatly. And that's a good, strong mark taken on the lead there by a man who's been impressive, it's fair to say, in Hayes. Gets it off to Patton. Good to see him fit and firing, as we said. Delivers a nice ball towards half forward. That's a great transition. And the mark is taken by Paris. In fact, I believe that might actually be McHale that we were talking about earlier. Ball's worked out of the defensive end by Anthony Seaton of Team Black, another of the Sandringham top-up players. Works it up towards the wing position. King on a long lead will take the mark here. Probably 2 kicks from goal. Open forward line. Gresham is the target. He was turned inside out a little bit by the kick, and Sinclair had a good clean run at it to take the mark and chip to half-back.
Dan Butler as well there, tearing back to that forward 50. The eyes light up. He was on his own by about 20 metres. Just needed that kick to get to him.
Ball has got over the back. Little flick hand pass from Windhager. Underground ball down towards attacking 50. Dean Kent rode the tackle well and squeezed out the hand pass. Trying to work his way through there again was Jack McHale. And the ball to be bounced about 60 around from the goal of Team White. Zach Jones spinning out of the Burns tackle. Now Burns will go back in there after the footy himself. Hunter Clark just trying to push it along by hand as Owens almost strips him of the footy in another strong tackle. He would have laid 3 or 4 of those himself in the first quarter. So Most players, a lot of the Sandy boys certainly contributing pretty well in the early stages of the game as a hurried kick forward will be marked there by Daniel McKenzie.
Rowan Marshall as well, just coming off the bench there, seeing Cooper Sharman take the ruck contests against Max Heath. A little bit of a height difference there, but he's doing pretty well. Sharmo, as you said earlier, doesn't find himself this far up the field very often.
He's got possession there. We know he's got a good leap on him, so that does make him, a good strong chance in those situations. Ball in the hands of Mason Wood. Sends it long. In fact, it might have been Highmore. Down towards the wing position. Ball will work its way forward. Dara Joyce just playing the goalkeeper role, sweeping. Feeds that hand pass out and chipped in towards Oscar Adams, who took that nice mark earlier in the contest. He'll complete the switch to Lynett, former Port Adelaide player who's having a run with the club. Now Anthony Seaton to McKenzie. McKenzie on the halfback flank broadcast side. Spearing low ball to Hunter Clark, just the required 15. So patient ball movement. There's Membry on a good lead and he'll receive. Takes the mark just backwards of the wing position. Hugging the Danny Frawley grandstand side of the ground. Sets that one up. In front position there was Howard, who put the body in the way and was able to bring that ball to ground. And we'll have a bounce at the fall.
King comes off for Rowan Marshall, who will probably retake that ruck post, give Sharman a chance to do some damage inside forward 50. As Steele delivers in to Tim Membry, 2-on-1 contest. Ball spills to ground. Ben Long with the opposite right foot, I should say, dribbles along the ground and just hits the behind post. Ball will be throw in deep inside the black team's forward 50.
Absolutely classic front and centre there from Ben Long. Exactly in the right spot. Didn't have to break stride, running flat out.
As we saw against the Tigers post by, very advantageous when the ball comes to ground. It's his bread and butter, that's for sure.
Very exciting night, that one. Obviously, after a tough couple of weeks, it started a really good burst of form. There is Long again, who gets another crack at it, and this time misses to the near side. Just ran out of room close to the boundary line there. 1-3-9 Team Black, and 1-2-8 to Team White. Good even start. Not 15 the call there. It's a good searching kick though. That's very well executed out towards Tom Campbell, who takes the mark. Cooper Sharman opposed to him, who's playing a bit of here, there and everywhere at the moment. Heath the target there. It was Hayes that came over the back and split the pack. Bytel, good front and centre, feeds the hand pass out. It's Finlay Bain who goes towards the pocket with a really good kick, and the mark taken just inside the boundary line here by Jack McHale. So a couple of the Sandringham players that are getting their opportunity combining nicely there. And
a very nice handball out of congestion from Marcus Windhagen there, who found that opening, which allowed McHale to get on the end of what should be a pretty, it's maybe a gettable goal. Not much of a breeze going at the moment, so just has to execute. And that he does. Skins it around the behind post. Nice through. 2 goals for the Whites team.
2-2 to 1-3. They lead it by 5 points. And the names Windhager, Owens, those sorts of players have been called quite a bit in the first quarter of this contest, and that is very encouraging. And the quick hands of Jack Bytel in that exchange as well. As we see Tim Membry and Cooper Sharman will push back into a deeper forward 50 role here. We've seen Sharman have turns in the ruck, turns a bit higher up the ground. And looking at the defensive end for Team White as the siren sounds, Josh Battle was making his way back to play on Membry, as we said, his defensive role after the really strong season he had in 2019 in the back half. Spent a lot of time forward after that. But Saints fans should be very excited. Obviously top 5 in the best and fairest as a defender, and was outstanding in 2019, and with the retirements of Jake Carlisle and players like that, James Frawley being another, certainly plenty of opportunities for him down back.
Absolutely. Quarter time here at the 2022 member night at RSCA Park, of course, powered by AIA Australia. Had goals to Max King for the Team Black, and as we saw there, Jack McHale converting, and Jack Bytel as well, getting one on the opposite boot that have sailed through. So Team White with the advantage, 2 goals apiece.
Welcome back to RSCA Park. I've had a geography lesson from my father, actually. It's been confirmed that the Nepean Highway is the right-hand end and South Road is the left. I am horrendous at reading maps, so that shouldn't surprise too many people. But, of course, a reminder also for Saints fans in partnership with AIA Australia that if you want to receive up to $900 in Saints credit, you can join AIA Health on an eligible policy by the end of March, the 31st of March this year, and you'll receive up to $900 Saints credit over 3 years. So for more information to take up that offer, head to aia.com.au/Saints, aia.com.au/Saints, partnering for today's membership day, which obviously this match will be followed by an open training session for the women's team, as well as Bytel gets the opening clearance of the quarter, and a very nice mark taken going back there by Matthew Allison. Chips it out to Gresham, who trademark shimmy, steps inside and then drives it long inside. Ben Long gave a little bit of a nudge, cleared the path for Tim Membry. He loves those, and he was never going to miss that. Gets the second goal for Team Black, 2-2-14 they are, and Team White 2-3-15, leading by a point.
As easy as you get for Timmy, doesn't miss those ones. As you said, ball just came out the back. It's a contest between Long and Ben Patton. Looked like it was going towards them, but the ball just sailed that little bit extra for Tim to snatch it up and convert truly.
So a good start to the term, and Tim Membry is such an important player in that forward setup as we see Max King strolling back to the goal square. Just a reminder for those players that aren't in this lineup today on either side. So Paddy Ryder has done a lot of pre-seasons. Obviously, he'll know how to manage the body well. Dan Hanbury, ditto. We'll hear from Leo Connolly a little bit later. Jack Billings and Jaron Geary we've heard from in the early part of this match, who aren't far away. And, of course, Nick Caulfield with the unfortunate ACL injury over recent weeks, as Campbell goes up in the ruck there and gives away a free kick for a block to Rowan Marshall. So Rowan Marshall sinks the slipper into that, gets plenty of distance. Membry up in front, couldn't quite take the mark. It's read well by Jack Sinclair at the back, who shimmies away from Mason Wood and then kicks pretty good one. He's a lovely user of the ball, Jack Sinclair, we know that. And it's a very good execution as he finds its way to Bytel. And it's fed off towards Patrick Nash, who drives it long. Good strong mark taken there by Campbell, who feeds the hand pass into Windhager, who's had a lot of the ball in the early stages of the game, but took on Jade Gresham, which is a very difficult thing to do, as Gresh gets himself the free kick. Steps past the centre circle and delivers a lovely kick towards the lead of Mason Wood, who couldn't quite take the mark. Zach Jones stepping through traffic, goes back to Wood, who recovered well, kicks on the left and can't bend it back enough. So 2-3-15 Team Black, 2-4-16 Team White. 1 point the margin.
That on his favoured side as well, Mason. Almost snuck that one home, but just sailing over the top of the behind post there. So Jack Sinclair takes the kick out. Not much movement happening at the moment. Sinks gets the ball rolling, comes out. Got Cal Wilkie available, but pumps it long down the line. Got a contest with Max Heath and line it down. Tom Campbell squirts it out. Rowan Marshall ultimately wins out. Tries to get a kick away. Is blocked by Patty Nash. Owens again comes through there and is wrapped up very strongly there by Seb Ross. Great to see him back out there as well.
It is indeed. There's obviously a few players had some frustrating moments last season. As Gresham, who's been busy early there, gets tackled to ground. Did get the hand pass away. Comes out towards Butler, who will give it back to Ross, who will kick off a step on his left. A lot of targets underneath that. Max King floating across the front of the pack, almost took the mark. Membry gets it out to Butler. Butler tried to go end over end. Battle parried it down, but only as far as Gresham, whose kick goes very high and away to the right and levels the scores at 2-4-16 apiece in the second quarter.
Yeah, very handy deflection, almost came off Josh Battle, but almost spilled into the favour of Jade Gresham there, but couldn't quite get it done as Jimmy Webster takes this kick in.
Within 50 days of round one, of course, so things getting serious as the ball was hand passed out to Highmore to Jones, who delivers to Ben Long, who's been good. He has it a couple of kicks from goal. Membry was short. He fed it off by hand instead, and sinking the slipper into that with a long ranging shot at goal was Jared Lynett. And that will do his chances no harm as he slams it through from long range And it's 3-4-22 to 2-4-16. Goal to the ex-Port Adelaide boy.
Absolutely, be putting that one on the highlights reel for sure. Obviously, a spot opening up on the list with the Nick Caulfield, if he should be moved to the inactive list, of course. We should speak about that backline as well, Parko, because I was trying to put together a best 22 for the Saints, and it's very hard squeezing a few names in when you think that there's the likes of Ben Patton still to come back. Jaron Geary as well has had very limited game time. The emergence of guys like Tom Highmore, then you've got your staples in Dougal Howard and Cal Wilkie and Jimmy Webster as well, rejuvenating himself last year. So it's a bit of a harder one to sort of fit all the pieces into, which is obviously a good problem to have.
One of the shining lights for the Saints AFLW outfit this season has been Hannah Priest, who joins us in this second quarter. Hannah, nice to have you with us.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. It's a beautiful afternoon down here at RACA Park.
Looking forward to getting the chance to obviously have a run. We know obviously with the ground upgrades, the girls have been playing a lot of matches at Trevor Barker Oval, which is another ground that obviously holds a special place for Saints fans. Would be nice to get back out.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had our AFLW season on the road this summer, so it'll be nice to bring it back to the home of football, RACA Park.
It'll be up against the Blues this week, Saturday afternoon. Unfortunate news with Tani White missing with a suspension, but you've been floating into that midfield mix a little bit. How have you found that so far? It's obviously we've been hit a little bit in that department with a few key names going down through injury and otherwise, but how have you found settling in, and as well with the added responsibility of skipper in there?
Yeah, obviously we've got a few personnel down, obviously in our midfield, but as you said, it gives opportunity for others to have a run through there, and tried a few different looks for us, which was good. Really enjoyed my time in there against Brisbane on the weekend, and then I guess trying to find my feet a little bit more and get a bit more of the footy each time I play in there.
Zach Jones took on about 7 tackles then and just weaved his way through and excited the crowd as Owens held out the footy there. A little unlucky not to get a free kick as Jack Perris fed the hand pass out. Mason Wood floats the kick wide to Sharman, who had such an exciting finish to 2021. And one of those features was that he was an outstanding kick for goal in those set shot situations late in the year, the games against Geelong and obviously Carlton, Sydney and Fremantle. And we get another look at him here. It's been a good quarter so far for Team Black, looking at a third consecutive goal. Cooper Sharman will kick from about 45 metres out, and not even the commentator's curse could stop him as he sends that straight through the middle.
Good looking
Cooper
kick.
Sharman, good encouraging signs for him, who's played a number of roles today.
Yeah, 10 goals in 4 games as well last year for Sharmo. And
3.5 technically. Yeah,
absolutely right. Obviously coming on as a sub for that Carlton game, but yeah, it's good signs to see from him so far. If that's a sign of things to come, we'll very much be looking forward to that. Han as well, I guess, as the Saints on the hunt for the first win of the year. How have things been so far? Obviously, a few new faces as well coming in with Nikki Dowell. But how's the mood around the camp been going at the moment?
Yeah, it's been a challenging start to the season, and obviously we're not really where we want to be. But Nicky Dale, as you said, is a huge knowledge in football, both playing the game himself and now coaching, and has a really special way of analysing the game and then articulating it to us in terms of what we need to work on, what we need to learn and grow and just make sure that we can keep performing and keep learning. He says to us that we're not there yet in terms of obviously win and loss, but we're working really hard on our process and making sure that we're improving every single session and every single game.
Brad Crouch there feeds the hand pass wide to Dean Kent, who's got plenty of time on the left boot. Hand passes further afield looking for a McHale. It went through there and close to the boundary line and over. The last couple of weeks, obviously, it's been very strong finishes and narrow losses, the West Coast game and the Brisbane game. I guess, what's the balance been between, A, frustration because you've lost by a kick, but also you've been finishing strong, particularly in Brisbane's case, you're playing the reigning premiers, that you take a lot of confidence from that?
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty hard to swallow, the old honourable loss.
Yeah.
I mean, we work really hard and then not be able to finish off with a win. But I guess it's really pleasing to see that we can take it to the top teams, especially in reigning premiers in Brisbane, and knowing that they're such an experienced side, being in the competition six years and us 3. So we are working really hard, and I guess the best thing about our group is we really relish the opportunity to challenge ourselves against really quality opposition.
We saw a few clips as well playing just before, as that one is squeezed through brilliantly by, looks like Paddy Nash there.
Is, yep.
Again, Lynett and Nash.
Yeah.
Two boys competing for a spot, doing their absolute best efforts to get on there, and they've certainly made the highlights reel. And as we said before, some clips playing before as you were chatting, and Tilly Lucas-Rod was one of those players who has come up and has been a really consistent force in her new role as well. Can you chat about how much she's really lifted her game? Because it has been pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, Till is an exceptional member of our team. I mean, not only is she an exceptional football player, but her leadership both on and off the field has been outstanding this season. She has a really good ability to bring people along with her as well and lead on field. So as you can see, obviously Tani White made her way into the midfield, but obviously just learns from Tilly and tries to get as much learning as she can into her game. Tilly just has the ability to take the game on, but also just move the ball forward, and is a really good ball user for our team.
So you see Max Heath going up in the ruck there. Steele flicking out the hand pass to Clark, who goes back to Steele. Outside of the right boot. Max King, good use of the body there. Did all but take the mark. It's flicked out eventually in the direction of Seb Ross, who had a couple of options. Went to Wood. Then the low ball speared in there from Paris. Mark taken by Sinclair on the second last line of defence. Chipping the ball short and wide. And Patton with an opportunity right on defensive 50 up against the boundary line. We've said it a few times, but good to see him fit and firing. A lot of high flyers in that pack. The last goal scorer, Nash, receives the hand pass there. Slides the kick wide to Brad Hill, who's got a bit of space if he can get a kind bounce. Feeds the hand pass into Wilkie. Now, Sinclair should feed Hill here on the overlap. He does. Smart play, and Brad Hill slides a kick in, but beautifully judged by Zach Jones, who cut across in front of the leading McHale. Sends a kick wide towards Sharman, who got turned around, and Kel Wilkie, just ultra professional in defence, eyes on the footy, takes the mark, chips it into Burns, who goes short again, and there is Nash, who's had a good quarter, and that's a well-weighted kick down into the pocket for Dean Kent, who's on a good side for a left footer, 35 metres out, probably 5 metres in from the boundary.
And we saw him involved in that last passage of play, Jack Steele as well, just for the black side not too long ago. Obviously, you taking the reins as solo skipper this year, Steely as well doing the same. I know you two have had a few conversations. Can you shed some light on sort of what those chats have been like, obviously as two captains of St Kilda?
Yeah, it was really great. Obviously, being named sole captain of St Kilda AFLW team, but it was just really lovely to receive a message from Steely after the appointment, and for him to say, "Look, we'll both lead together for both of our sides this season," and that just shows how focused, I guess, we are as a club to get this AFLW AFL integration and make sure that we are the best club in the industry at that. And yeah, I guess we've seen each other around the corridors a bit of the club, and he's just always asking about the girls, and you know, he's also driving the boys to get out to the games and stuff like that, which is just a really nice piece in the integration as well.
Absolutely, saw a few of those boys down there, Bradley Hill among them, as he puts the chase on Zach Jones, who's got a bit of space, finds Tim Membry, who as well is clear of Dougal Howard. A few options. Mason Wood presenting himself, another one of those boys working closely with the AFLW side, who will line up about 45 out. Favours a left footer this kick as well. So some very nice signs there for Team Black. And how has that work been with Mason Wood? He's been involved quite a bit, especially in the pre-season. He was doing a lot of work with the forward line group. How much has his influence been sort of rubbed off on the group?
Yeah, huge. Girls love Mace. Just his ability to teach and just really refine our skills. He's done a power of work in the pre-season with our skill work, kicking, handballing. Often just sessions with Mace, craft sessions with Mace before training was a hit with the girls, and he'll continue to support us through the rest of our season as well. How
tricky has it been with the fixturing, where you've had a lot of matches that were scheduled and then postponed late and then replayed? Obviously, you're often trained to the minute, and you're trained to your 6-day breaks, 7-day breaks, to all of a sudden get 16. How difficult has it been to adjust to that, knowing that the game's on and it's off and it's on?
Yeah, it's super challenging. I mean, AFLW in itself, we've got so many girls working full-time or studying or families or whatever it might be, and then to throw in the mix that we're playing midweek games or just constantly changing. It's a huge ask, not only of the players, but the support staff and trainers and stuff like that are hugely a part of our program. So it has been challenging, but super proud of the group in the way they've adapted and just decided to roll with the punches a little bit. Not ideal, but if it means that we can get away and play each of our games, then that's what we want to do.
And 3 of those games played in the space of 9 days as Higgins squeezes that one around the corner. Ben Long gives chase, but Cal Wilkie the stable head as Brad Hill exits the defensive 50.
Good looking kick out wide towards Oscar Lewis, who marks just inside the boundary line. One of the 6 Sandringham listed players getting the call up for this afternoon. And Hannah, we appreciate you stopping by. Obviously, a big game against Carlton to come, big finish to the season, and we look forward to hearing more from you and keep up the good work leading the side so well.
Thanks very much, guys. Hopefully we can get a big win over the Baggers at Icon on Saturday.
A few better teams to beat than Carlton, that's for sure.
Absolutely. 510 Saints fans to get on down to Icon Park this Saturday.
Another traditional venue, not one that we like quite as much as this one. But
no, I think this one's the much preferred, especially with all the redevelopment that's been going on.
As Mackenzie gave that hand pass out to Highmore. Lovely exit kick towards the skip. We just spoke to the captain of the AFLW side and now the captain of the men's team in Jack Steele with possession there, switching the ball across. Now on our broadcast side, it will be Matthew Allison, who was St Kilda's first pick, 18 months ago, year before last. Chips it in to Lynett, who kicked a really encouraging goal. He kicked it from probably 3 or 4 metres inside the centre square earlier in the quarter. Sends it out wide to Hunter Clark, who takes the mark on the opposite wing, the old scoreboard side of RSEA Park.
And as we see Rowan Marshall start to lumber down towards that defensive 50, Tommy Campbell's with him, but Jade Gresham has also slipped out the back and is spare, so Black with an extra down there as Tim Embry spins around, finds Higgins, snaps around and unfortunately picks out Ben Patton. The Black side with the outnumber there just couldn't work it out.
Kicked it out towards Burns, who took a nice mark. It was touched off the boot, but the use of the body was excellent. Chipped down towards that wing position. Had a good 1-2 opportunity there with McHale. Ended up floating the kick long and a good mark taken again here on the sort of between wing and half back.
Certainly no going easy with the Intra-Club, as we saw Zach Jones just absolutely take Ryan Burns for a little bit of a trip over the boundary line before. Not surprising it coming from Zach Jones, obviously. The midfield bull, we hear it a lot, but he's really got that aggressive presence, which is great to have in that midfield mix.
He's looked fantastic too, Zach Jones. Obviously a lot of Saints players had some misfortune on the injury front last year. Zach, one of those on a couple of occasions. And good to see him fit and firing, just like it is with a lot of players around that contest, including Mackenzie, who tumbles that one down towards the goal square. Good play by Brad Hill there, just outpointed Higgins in the air, took the mark, gave it to Webster, who went to Wilkie, and Wilkie chips it outside the defensive 50, and they'll build from the half-back flank. We've got opportunity here for Marcus Windhager, one of 2 academy selections from last year. Ended up taken with a bid in the mid to late 30s. Dougal Howard. He's got Burns on this side of the ground. He'll go short instead. Wilkie, as we say, hasn't missed a game since coming to the club. Goes just to require distance to Windhager, who chips it short again towards Patton. No mark taken. Almost a free kick. On the turnover there, it comes to Membry. Just didn't quite have room, so went by hand to Higgins. Tried to curl it over the shoulder. Patton's there. Here's Burns, who will trap it on the bounce. Good shepherd there by Brad Hill. He was protected well. Wilkie, smart kick. Good vision towards Crouch, who took a pretty courageous mark there with the heat coming.
It's been a bit of a patient build-up for the White side, but they're finally out now as Brad Crouch receives that wide. Goes to the corner of the square. Got Dean Kent versus Cooper Sharman. Kent sticks the legs out, and it's given a free to him.
Thought that might have been the other way.
Yeah, I would have thought so, but advantageous for White as Dean Kent looks and assesses his options going inside 50. Cannons it in on the left. Got a little pack forming. Up goes Lynett, gives the big fist. Nash falling at the front of it, and that one just squeezes through for a minor score.
He's very much his forward line craft in this quarter. Patrick Nash has been very like father, like son, very Chris-like. He was a noted goal sneak for Richmond in particular when they made that run to the prelim in 1995. Kicked some big goals in the final series there. And hopefully, I mean, Patrick, as we say, another one fighting for that spot, and everyone's doing themselves plenty of favours. Sharman the target here, and we see that Leap takes the mark on the way down. Just backwards of the wing position. Kicks looking for long, but cut off in the middle of the park there by the big man in that was Hayes, who's looked pretty good. There's to Hill, who goes back again. A dinky little chipping ball from Battle to the back edge of the centre square. Comes to Webster. So again, we're seeing that patience that Chris was talking about from Team White. Wilkie, as they'll try to cross, it's almost basketball style, sort of zigzagging around the key as Battle goes to Hill again. Hill draws the player. Good running by Webster, who we saw probably 80 metres away from that contest not all that long ago. Tips it into the middle of the ground, and here is McHale again, floating the kick forwards, and doing it all over the park at the moment in the air is Sharman. And a little bit of collateral damage on the way through from that mark.
He's been here, there, and everywhere, obviously. No, every player is forward of centre going to the Nepean Highway end, but Sharman that deep in defence is something that you don't see every day, despite his limited appearances in St Kilda colours.
Windhager, one of the best players on the ground, I would say, has taken the mark just forward of the wing position. Got a little close to the player on the mark. Kick partially smothered. Bytel will take it on the way through, and then he was held after disposing of the ball, so he'll get the free kick as it'll go against Dara Joyce, who didn't quite see from the angle he had that the ball had come through. Bytel, one of 3 goal scorers for Team White, sets it up towards the top of the square. Can they get the crumb at the foot of this? So we see Hayes, who's been good, scrambling around at the foot of that pack, and the ball to be bounced.
Brad Hill floating at the in the middle of this ground at the moment. He's got an extra man for the quick kick out from the black side, so he's there to sweep across if need be. So we've got another stoppage building at the moment, and there fires out, and on cue Hill is on the move and looking to get that next kick in boards.
Good work there by Battle to paddle it back to Webster, who just ran out of room there. He stepped over the boundary line. Windhager was again involved there, putting good pressure on Membry.
Had a very productive quarter so far, Windhager. He and Owens as well have been quite busy at the moment, obviously going up against a pretty seasoned midfield outfit of Jack Steele and Zach Jones and Rowan Marshall.
And the majority of Heath's ruck work has been done against Sharman, who is obviously a lesser experienced ruck, and part of that education process, I would think, for both of those players is beautifully picked up on the half volley there by Wood, who goes up inside 50, attacking that one hard from all angles there and coming across, and making a really strong contest was Battle at centre half back, and made a beeline for the ball as it goes to ground here, front edge of the centre square.
Have you seen Battle in the defensive end so far, Parker?
Just reads the play really well. He's marking, he's courageous. That mark he took, going back to 2019, that match-saving mark against Fremantle, that type of thing is something that you're accustomed to seeing from him. Good work there from Bain. Feeds a hand pass over the top to Hayes to Kent, who's got an open forward line. Can he get that ball to come back on the left? It's just holding its line. And that's 4 behinds for Dean Kent. Just as the siren sounds, he's been everywhere, number 25, Dean Kent, but not quite his day in front of goal. 3 goals, 7-25 for Team White at half-time. And Team Black 5-4-34, who had a very good quarter. Goals to Gresham, to Membry, Lynett, Wood and Sharman. And for Team White, goals to McHale, also Bytel, and in that quarter, Patrick Nash. So it was 4-1 in that term for Team Black as they lead it by 9 points at the half. It is obviously a good time to remind you of the opportunity as part of the soon-to-be completed Danny Frawley Centre Grandstand. We're giving you the chance to purchase a personally engraved plaque to sit proudly on one of the 1,000 seats overlooking the hallowed turf. And funds raised will go towards supporting the Danny Frawley Centre for Health and Wellbeing, and that's due for completion and open to the public on the 7th of March, which will be terrific for everybody to get down and see some of that hard work. We're going to check in at Clubland and talk about that amongst many other issues as well with Matt Finnis, who's jumped on board. And Matt, this is a glorious afternoon on a sunny day at RSEA Park in Moorabbin.
It's magic, isn't it? It's been lively start to the game, but it's great to just see some people able to get back down here at RSEA Park and see the boys getting out on the new turf.
Absolutely. It's a fair different Moorabbin that we've known to, as Saints fans have known and loved over the years. And as we look to our right here with the Danny Frawley Centre for Health and Wellbeing, powered by AIA, which is set to open in early March. Matt, do you almost have to sort of pinch yourself that after so many years, and we've seen it as a frame for quite some time, and we've had interruptions with COVID and whatnot, but to see it finally standing here on the verge of opening must be pretty special.
Yeah, no, it is. It's it's probably come out pretty quickly when you think about it. It was only November 2020, wasn't it, when we stood here with the Federal Treasurer Josh Frydenberg and Anita Frawley and the family, and announced that we were going to take on this project. So to be 2 weeks away from literally opening the facility and bringing those programs to life, yeah, you're right. It's very special. It'll be a very emotional time when we do that.
Speaking of that emotion, I mean, it's one of those things that invokes emotion amongst St Kilda supporters. The name Danny Frawley, and to have that legacy at the club, in terms of how you're feeling the players responding to that with the trip to Ballarat and all of that, just how important it is for them to understand the legacy that he left and players like him have left? Yeah,
it's a good point. I mean, we're really proud of the facilities that we're building here, but footy clubs aren't about bricks and mortars. Footy clubs are about people, and so we're really committed to keeping the spirit of Danny and the club alive. And so that trip we did to Bungaree a few weeks ago, where the Danny Frawley Pavilion sits at that footy ground, was terrific, and for past players and Danny's friends to share those stories and allow our current players to hear that. It's a really important part. It's really important that we share those messages from generation to generation.
It's pretty special as well, as you said, Matt, getting your name on 2 footy pavilions at 2 different clubs. Obviously, a testament to Danny's character. And I guess as well, the DFC won't just be for club use; it's for the wider community as well, which the doors will be fully open very soon.
Yeah, so it's it's great that we can provide facilities where we get to look after our players' holistic health and wellbeing, hopefully better than any other club, and that extends to our past players as well, which is really important. But ultimately, the community, will be able to enjoy these facilities, from swimming in the pool, recovery in the hydrotherapy, utilising the gym, and then availing themselves of the mental fitness and health programs that we'll be running in the centre. And that's what Danny, probably would have been most proud about, to be honest, is that breaking down of the stigma and really helping people to live their best lives.
In terms of big picture, obviously clubs are always looking for the cutting edge. We look at how magnificent the ground looks and the upgrades and the facilities. How strong a position do you feel it puts us in terms of high performance, but also the ability to attract those big names as a really, really attractive club?
Yeah, look, it's part of the redevelopment is that our players ought want for nothing, and they ought to have the facilities and the personnel who can allow them to achieve their football dreams. And in reality, as proud as we were of getting back to Moorabbin, the actual oval, if you like, the key asset of this place was underdone. There hadn't been any money spent on the drainage here for 40 years, and it was just getting a bit tired, and you saw that by the middle of winter the ground was really probably not fit for purpose, if we're honest with ourselves. And so that's been a big project over summer to completely refurbish this ground, and now our the deck is just looking marvellous. And so that for the players to get here, and our women, our AFLW team are going to train this evening as soon as this game's finished, and they've been very patient in training and playing games away from here all year, and so looking forward to seeing them get out there today as well.
Absolutely, been a long time coming for our AFLW side. And before we move on, just a reminder as well to follow the Danny Frawley Centre for Health and Wellbeing on socials at the Danny Frawley Centre on Instagram. Facebook page as well, up and running. And as part of the soon-to-be completed Danny Frawley Centre as well, we're giving Saints fans the chance to purchase a personally engraved plaque, which will sit proudly on one of the 1,000 seats overlooking the hallowed turf. So funds will be raised to support the DFC, which is due for completion, as we said, in the coming weeks. So make sure to head over to saintsmembership.com.au or call 1300 467 246 to etch your name into history. I guess while we've got you here, Matt, it would be remiss of us to not talk about the half that has been. What's caught your eye from where you've been overlooking the game?
I've been wandering around a little bit, but I couldn't help but see Jade Gresham zipping around there, particularly in that first quarter, I think it was, when he was kicking towards the southern end of the ground, which is, I'm probably not alone in Saints fans being pretty keen to see Jade out there. So, and just love seeing Cooper Sharman probably where he left off at the end of last year, kicking for goal, and Ben Long has been pretty lively too. So he kicked a nice goal from outside 50. But it's one of those days where you just want everyone to get through really unscathed and get the hit out under their belts.
100%, Matt. Thank you. Obviously, we touched wood. We don't know exactly what normal means, but we're hoping for a normal year, starting off with a big crowd, obviously, in round one against the Pies, and then on to a massive 2022. But thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys, and really, it's great that you can take this game to all of our fans, and we look forward to seeing everyone there to play Collingwood Friday night, round one. It's going to be a big occasion, and we want to see the stadium completely packed out with red, white and black, and hopefully get our season off to a great start. So thanks for having me.
Matt Finnis joining us, and a reminder just on that too, of course, that in partnership with the crew at SEN, it is Saints Membership Day, so it is a 2-for-1 opportunity. As we say, this is a members stream, but you might have friends who are, maybe this will be my year and I might bite the bullet, but they're undecided. Well, it's a chance that they can sign up and get a friend on board for free as well with a 2-for-1 offer. So make sure you snap up that opportunity at 1300 467 246 or visit saintsmembership.com.au, and there will be an open training session tonight as well if you are in the area for the AFLW team, kicking off at about 6:30. So a chance to give them some encouragement. They've been perilously close to a victory in the last 2 weeks, and for the conspiracy theorist in it, those last quarters have been a bit short on the clock, I think. But it would have been nice to just see them just one goal away from both of those results. But they're not far away, and it could be as soon as this week against Carlton. So make sure you give them plenty of love, and they certainly deserve a victory. They're fighting tooth and nail every week to get that result and getting better all the time. So hopefully, with Nicky Dell at the helm and with Hannah, that we spoke to earlier, they can get that opportunity. But your thoughts on the first half overall, Chris? It was I think pretty competitive hit out with Team Black probably getting on top a bit in the second.
Yeah, absolutely. We mentioned it in the call before, but we thought this was going to be sort of a more reserved sort of affair. You only need to have a look at that contest between Zach Jones and Ryan Burns just before. We'll run through the goal kickers. So Max King, Tim Membry, Mason Wood, Jared Leanett as well, with a very nice roost from the centre square. Jade Gresham and Cooper Sharman hitting the scoreboard. And for the White, we've had Patrick Nash, Jack Bytel and Jack McHale as well from Sandy hit the board. So some good signs all round. I've liked a lot of the defensive end. I think Cal Wilkie has really, as he always has done, been unflappable down there, hasn't put a foot wrong. Josh Battle down there's looked nice. I've liked Ben Patton coming up the ground as well, and obviously you can't overlook the guys of Zach Jones, Jack Steele, Tim Membry as well. Dan Butler, I've really liked the look of him, and as Matt said before, Ben Long has been pretty productive down in that forward line as well. Yeah, you look at obviously other guys like Dean Kent's had 4 shots at goal, narrowly missed a couple of those. Brad Hill in that quarter, especially at both ends, we saw his hard running where he can cover the ground really quickly and get it at both ends of the ground. I think Brad Crouch, effectively, as you would call him, probably the leader or the captain of Team White's midfield, as the
the most experienced of those players within that group. So I thought he's led them pretty well too, and Jimmy Webster with an honourable mention. We'll take a momentary break here for half-time facilities. There won't be, or half-time proceedings. It won't be too long until both sides are back out there again. It's a 9-point lead to Team Black, 5-4-34 to 3-7-25. More to come from RSCA Park at Moorabbin.
Welcome back to the 2022 Member Night at RSCA Park, powered by AIA Australia. The two sides are back out after half-time. Got a big half ahead of us, and we've seen a jumper swap, Parko, by the looks of things. Just the one to start with, but we'll keep an eye out for any more. Yeah,
it looks like Oscar Lewis, who is in the white, is now in the black, wearing the number 49, one of the Sandringham top-up players. So keep an eye out for him. Oscar Lewis, whilst we're in the business of throwing out some plugs as well, as a labour of love at my end, we put together with a friend of mine, Nick and Aaron, a St Kilda podcast every week called Unplugged. So it's weekly episodes throughout the course of the season where we do match reviews and previews and have a chat to a legend of the club each week. We've had, Stuart Lowe and Robert Harvey and Nathan Burke and Lenny Hayes and Aaron Hamill and names like that over the course of recent times. Some celebrity fans as well, guys like David Hussey and Matty Hardy, you'd remember from the Saturday afternoon fever. So each week during footy season we'll do that. You can check us out on socials. We'd love the support. It's just a little pet project of ours, but if you're a Saints fan, which I'm sure you all are, it's a way for us to just sort of share. Sometimes we've had to vent and lament on some frustrations, and other times we've been able to celebrate some great results at the run to the finals in 2020 and the like. So check us out, Unplug It, across the socials throughout the course of the year.
Absolutely. Love your work there, Parko. Great to listen to. While we're plugging podcasts, Sounds of the Saints as well on St Kilda's official channels. We'll get weekly instalments once the season resumes and gets into the proper swing of things, which is great to see. And we will also have a very special podcast guest coming to join us very shortly as well, which we'll get to in just a moment. Seeing the white side warm up, you'll be able to spot Oscar Lewis as well. He's still got the white shorts on by the looks of things, so be pretty obvious to spot out there. As we run through before, a couple of the goal scorers before. Max King obviously getting things underway, looking very good for the black side. Tim Membry, Mason Wood, Jared Lynott with that long bomb from the centre square. Jade Gresham, Cooper Sharman all converting major scores, while for the Whites had their opportunities. As you said, Dean Kent has kicked the four behind so far, just a couple of narrow misses. I think he had two in the opening term when they were kicking to the left of screen. But Mikhail, Bytel and Paddy Nash as well, all hitting the board during the opening half.
Now, we have been speaking a lot about podcast and social media activity. It is very much the way of the future, and one of the more fun fan experiences, of course, is Saints TV with raw emotions post-match and chats pre-match and conversations around our heroes that we do observe every week. And Jake joins us from Saints TV. Jake, nice to have you on board.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's good to be here. Good to be back at Moorabbin with the crowd and the boys on the park. So, beautiful day so far.
What have you made of it? Your thoughts on the first half?
It's always hard to tell this early in the season, but for me, it's the young kids. I can't stop looking at Ryan Burns. Just that example on the wing there where he got hit by Zach Jones, got up and then went back to the next contest was impressive. Jack Bytel as well, and even Winhager coming off at half forward and taking a few marks and turning and hitting targets was pretty impressive as well.
Take us through your journey through to obviously your background barracking for the Saints, but I guess the passion that has been Saints TV and how that came to be.
It was pretty organic, to be honest. I used to do Arsenal Football Club videos like 10 years ago and do live reviews at 2 a.m. in the morning and put them up on YouTube and hope that I got more than 2 views. And they went pretty well in the end, and then that kind of died off. And my passion's always been St Kilda, through thick and thin since 2004, and it kind of just popped into my head, why not just start a channel for Saints fans to go on and vent, and that was kind of the primary focus, to go on and just share your thoughts and your emotions. And since then, it's just kind of taken off a bit more than I could have expected.
It's absolutely evolved, become a staple of the St Kilda fan community, that's for sure. Now, Jake, we had you down at RCA Park a few days ago. We noticed some vision that sort of emerged. Can you talk us through that? Just explain it for those who haven't seen it yet. Can you chat through as we get the third quarter underway?
Absolutely.
At RCA Park for the member night powered by AIA Australia.
So, Max Heath probably could tell you a bit of a story, but He's going at the ball right now. There we go. It was a sponsor day yesterday, so I was lucky enough to get invited by a good friend of mine who's a sponsor of Josh Battle. Got invited to be in the team photo and went up and sat down beside Steely, and everyone was laughing, and I thought someone cracked a joke at me, but turns out after I watched some footage that I dodged a handshake from Max Heath, and he didn't take it well, and all the boys loved it. So thought I put that on Instagram last night and rub it in a bit more. So that was pretty awesome.
As we have a look on field, we'll see Jade Gresham and Zach Jones as well have swapped sides. So they're now playing for white, and Ben Long as well out there, all in the white. He got the shorts memo.
Ben at least he brought the 2 pairs of shorts, but you'll notice with Zach wearing the black shorts from the first half, and Jade Gresham wearing the black shorts from the first half as well. But Ben Long, one of those that switched, as did Oscar Lewis. So that does change things up a little bit as long ball from Lynett goes up towards the wing position, taken to the back there by Battle, who feeds it to Hill, who sold the candy nicely, kicks off a step, wobbly ball inside 50, body lining the ball and coming out well. There was Joyce, hand pass to the toes of Butler. McKenzie feeds it back again. Good strong tackle put on Allison there by Jones, and it will be rewarded with a free kick in the back pocket, in the forward pocket rather, for Zach Jones. Got a little confused with the jumper swap myself as he sets it up towards the top of the goal square. It was knocked to ground nicely there by Lynett. Burns trying to sort of toe poke that clear, and it goes over in front of Perez. You spoke about the Arsenal aspect. Is that the British football, the English Premier League, they're very big on that, the fan engagement, the fan videos, the fan TV type thing. Is that something that you feel really has the capacity to grow within the AFL? Absolutely.
That's something that I'm very passionate about, and I'm already talking closely to a few other fan pages. Great goal there. Brilliant goal. There's a lot of pages out there already. A few of them probably deserve more exposure than they get, but it's something in the next 3 to 4 years I think can really blossom. England's obviously the benchmark, but there's Saints TV, there's Unplugged as well. Blue Abroad is another one, a little shout out there. There's a few other ones there that are going really nicely under, quietly behind the scenes, but it's absolutely something that the AFL, I think, should look into in the future and get behind.
Now, Jake, we know you keep your eye on the Saints fans very closely, and the boys as well out on the park, it should be said. Who are you looking forward to seeing this year? Because there are, as you said before, there's a couple of almost virtual recruits just due to injury, and otherwise there are a lot of players who we didn't quite get to see a good run of last year. Who are you most excited to see back out on the park as for that round 1 game against the Pies?
Oh, it's hard to go past the Gresh Prince.
Yep.
He's missed a good 20 games in the last 2 seasons, and it's a position on the ground that I think we want that X factor. We want that explosiveness out of the middle of the ground, and he's also got that ability to go forward and kick multiple goals, as we know, and to have him back. JB, who's not playing today, to go forward as well with Higgins. That's a very good forward line, as well with Sharman as well, who looks to have put on a couple of kilos, so he's looking very good. And
looks to have put on a new Guernsey as well, as he's in the white as well. So keep an eye on any other jumper swaps, but I think we should have most of them covered by the looks of things, as Mikhail goes around the body on the left boot and just squeezes that one through for a minus score. Another one for the white side. I think that's 8 behinds now.
And all this, 4-8 to 5-4. All this, the Sandringham players that have, really held their own quite nicely when they've sort of come in, and spoke about. We see Cooper Sharman in the white jumper standing about 40 metres from goal now, as well as Lynett sends that long ball forward. The running jump at the back, an interesting one for the umpire to adjudicate there, as Marshall picks the pocket of Jack Hayes. They both had a fair bit of that in the air.
Another swap there with Hayes as well, now in the black. Great to see Rowan out there. It'll be even better seeing him pair up with Paddy Ryder, as that one's taken by Cal Wilkie, who, as we've said multiple times throughout the call, has not put a foot wrong tonight. It's been pretty good. He's started on Cooper Sharman, obviously, with them now on the same side. He's floated across to Tim Membry, as that one finds Brad Hill, centre half back, spearing kick in, finds Hunter Clark. Another swap for Jack Sinclair running through. Sells the candy, gives Seb Ross a bit of a spin, delivers that one deep inside forward. Your boy Max Heath under there and fisted out of bounds.
Yeah, he's a very good player, Max Heath. I guess on a serious note, he's been carving it up in the NAB League, playing with Sandringham over the last year or so. I was obviously taken in the mid-season draft last year, but allowed to focus on that level of football, and was clearly the best ruckman in that competition. I think most would agree when he was playing. So he'll get that opportunity to learn off the likes of Marshall and Ryder when he's out there as well. So some good experiences for him. Tom Campbell, another one who's been around the AFL system for a while. There's Peris with that pace. You wonder where he gets that from. As it's worked by hand back towards Crouch, who's in the black. Goes to Membry, who's got no one behind him. An open forward line. Max King is streaking down towards goal. That is a beautiful kick from Membry down towards King, who did all but take the mark. Springs it to ground. Butler will feed it over the top. King got to his feet very quickly. Couldn't quite break the tackle. Was able to fend the hand pass away, but Burns intercepted. Gave it to Hill, who slides it to Jones. And now he's off. Takes a bounce, crosses defensive 50, switches the kick out wide. Mark taken there by Campbell, who will end up linking back up with Jones, who kept on running. He'll drive the ball inside, and a good mark taken by Sharman. That judgment in the air that was a feature in the last month of last season. And he'll go to an open forward line, plenty of space to work in. And this is Wanganeen Malera, who takes the mark in the corridor about 45 metres out directly in front. Pick 11 in last year's national draft, the Saints' first pick.
Had a few of the Woodville West Torrens boys combining there. Obviously, Sharman and Wanganeen Malera coming from the same Sandful club. That one, that kick before certainly would have been in Sharman's wheelhouse. I think the goal against the Swans in round 21, he kicked one from an identical position there, but had the better option in Wanganeen Malera, who's now lining up for his first goal of the evening.
Fluent approach, kicks from 45 metres out. We were told he could kick, and he certainly can. Puts that straight through. And they take the lead with that 5-8-38 to 5-4-34. Jake, I guess some of your early heroes, I guess your favourite Saints when you were growing up?
Lenny Hayes. I mean,
can't really go much.
You can't really beat that. I was pretty late. I was 03, 04 was really when that passion started kicking in, with my uncle and my mum being Saints for a long time, and Lenny through that period of 04 to 2010, particularly that 09-10 period where he won the Norm Smith, and obviously Rui. It's hard to go past those two, to be honest, in that time. But there's a few coming through now. Obviously Jack Steele we talk about, and that's a player you just want to go see every week, and a player you're proud leads the club out every week. So it's great to see him as the solo captain for 2022.
So back in the middle, Marshall favoured by the bounce, and it will be done again. And he gets a crack here against Heath. He's done most of his ruck work when Cooper Sharman has been having a run. They're now on the same side in this second half. And Heath did that well, actually beat Marshall in the tap, which is encouraging for the youngster. Jones, who's had a very busy quarter, slides the hand pass out wide. Unable to gather an awkward bouncing ball there was Bain. Eventually he did. He'll pick it up again, gets a little nudge as he kicks, goes over the head there of Sharman. At the back, Wood, Crouch, and now it is Lewis, one of the first jumper swaps that we did notice. There have been quite a few others in that halftime break as he's brought to ground in a pretty big tackle.
Brilliant work there from Ronnie Burns. They were out, absolutely out, and he's put the clamps down. Yep. Very good signs so far.
And Heath for the second time. Good work there again against Marshall, as Owens was tripped, but there was a free kick before that to Mackenzie, who was caught high. Slides the ball out wide to Mason Wood. A good year last year prior to injury, which came in the back end of the year. Goes towards, that was Dean Kent, who's another who's flicked across to the black.
And Mitch Owens as well before in that previous passage of play. I think we may as well. I think everyone's just about swapped by the looks of things.
That'd make it easier.
Makes the score a little bit more superfluous, but 5-4 to 5-8. So can Heath, this time caught behind Marshall, who took it out of the ruck and tried to feed that one down. Low over the ball there was Wanganeen. Now Bytel will take it away. He's still in the wide as he was earlier. That kick going off the outside of the boot down in front of the old scoreboard that used to sit on that hill down there. Centering ball comes in towards Lynott, who, as we said, doing his chances no harm whatsoever. Kicks into the middle of the ground that goes over the head of Adam. Lovely work sliding through there from Bain. Goes inside 50 to an open forward line. Joyce tracks onto it. There is Lynott doing it on the other side of the ground. Kicks a very high ball. They'll come at it from everywhere. Butler and Sinclair, a couple of crafty players, come together, and the ball goes over for a throw-in. Ben Patton, Jake, obviously good. He's another one who swapped jumpers as well, but good to see him, fit and firing. We probably missed him. We spoke a lot about guys like, Marshall missing footy and Jones and Gresham, but certainly missed Ben Patton.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we forget or maybe we don't forget how good his 2020 was. Filling that back pocket position, taking on, it's another free kick there, taking on Charlie Cameron and some of the best small forwards in the league. Every good team needs a good back pocket, and he was very good. And to lose him for a season with a bit of bad luck was not the best start of last year, and obviously injuries wasn't something that we were blessed with good luck. Great goal there.
It's crafty by Cooper Sharman there, who it was Tom Campbell that made the contest, nearly took the mark. The ball hit the deck, and Cooper Sharman, the first player to kick a goal in both jumpers today, one in the black and one in the white, as he gets his second. And it's 6-8-44 Team White, 5-4-34 Team Black in the middle stages of this second term.
Yeah, Sharman the only multiple goal kicker as well, albeit he has done it for the two different sides this afternoon. Jake, we'll touch on Ben Patton again. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about how our back six could look. Obviously, Jimmy Webster filled that role that Patto played last year to really superb effect last year. As is the case with Jimmy, a lot of not much fanfare, not much fuss, but he just continually got the job done, much like Patto did in that breakout 2020. How do you see the back line? Can they both squeeze in there? Where do you see it happening? And obviously we've got guys like Tommy Highmore as well who now come into the mix.
There's some competition across the field now. I mean, that's something that I guess doesn't get talked about a lot, is the depth that we're starting to build in a lot of positions. And to lose Caulfield's obviously is bad news, but to have Highmore come through and fill that spot is going to be fantastic. But in terms of the back six for round one, it's going to be hard to pick. It really does depend on how we go against Carlton next week and then Essendon the week after. Great mark there from Ben Long.
Bloke who's been impressive is Bain, who we just saw then go inside 50 and find Ben Long. He's showed some real good speed in the middle of the ground. Finlay Bain from Sandringham.
Absolutely, especially this quarter. He's been involved in almost all the score involvements, which is great to see. He's been pretty clean by foot as well. So have a look at Ben Patton. Keep an eye on him, as currently lining up on him, and is spending a bit of time along the wing. So some food for thought for the Saints fans as Ben Long leans back on that one. No problems there. Squeezes it through for his first major of the evening.
So going on a bit of a roll here, the Team White, obviously with some of the personnel changes have agreed with them. 7-8-50 to 5-4-34. They had the better of the first term and having the better very much of the third here, as well, as we see Lynott come off the ground and Dara Joyce make his way back on. He certainly hasn't done much wrong today either, Dara Joyce. And even last year when he played those couple of games in the middle of the season, he looked pretty solid. So he's one that can hopefully continue to put pressure on. As we see on this wing in front of us as well, Patrick Nash still in the white, who's looked pretty good. And Dan McKenzie, speaking, Jake, of underrated losses, obviously McKenzie thought he was terrific last year. Copped a couple of big hits and got concussed on a couple of occasions, but played really well when he was in the side.
Bit of an unsung hero, wasn't he? Got his chances, kicked goals, but also just that gut running, the space that he makes for himself, just like that.
Yep.
Just from sheer work rate is fantastic, and it separates him from a lot of the players on our current list, is that he's always been an athlete, but now he's really starting to improve the football aspect of his game, and we're seeing that in the last couple of seasons.
It's great you touched on before that unrewarded effort as Tom Campbell clunks down a big contested mark over Maxi King there. I guess the role of the wingman is often overlooked, as there he is there working back and right on cue.
And very similar there. In his first season, which I reckon was 2015, he took one of them at the Gabba against Brisbane and got knocked out, I think, in the process. And that was a real sign of the type of player he is, where he's extremely courageous and just a hard worker. So you just love those guys that completely unflinching in those moments.
He's got a 50-metre penalty here. Must have been an encroachment on the mark as McKenzie got rid of the ball. So he'll take the ball from about the centre square and give the black side pretty good look at it as they head into attack and look to secure another major.
Goes to Butler, who takes the mark in front of Burns under a bit of heat. Guarded the ball quite nicely with his body. So just backward of the wing. Now he's got pretty much everyone in front of him, with the exception here of Joyce, who can operate the switch, send that out wide in the direction there of Membry, who takes the mark. Could have just about kept going, put the handbrake on. It was pretty condensed in front of him. He's got Butler and Lynott on this side of the ground, but he goes shorter and wider to Patton. Patton will go slightly further afield, pretty much on the true wing position on that outer side for Wood, who'll hug that outer side boundary with the long left foot kick. Marshall kept his feet in the contest, almost took the mark. Jack Steele at the fall sort of paddled it out into space. Tom Campbell was there. We saw Wanganeen go underground with a hand pass, and then I think it was Highmore, who's another who switched to Team White, seeing that one over the line. So Campbell take his turn in the ruck. It's been Campbell and Heath largely on the white side, and opportunity here for Jack Hayes, who's taking that opportunity for Team Black in that ruck contest. Another who's looked pretty sharp as he searches for a list spot. Crouch and Ross. Hand pass out to Webster. There was a bit of holding and a free kick a little bit off the play there to Hayes, and Hayes will go into the pocket, and King, nice little use of the body to nudge his opponent under the footy and take the mark a few steps inside the boundary.
What are you hoping to see from Max King this year, Jake? Obviously, he's showed some really promising signs last year. He had that game against Brisbane. Obviously started really well against the Cats. A bit of a back injury sort of marred the latter part of his year as he goes around the body there.
Oh,
beautiful
there
stuff.
you go. That's what we want to see.
That's what you want to see.
That's
exactly
it. He's
like
answered
that.
it. I didn't have to answer the question. Brilliant goal there. But I mean, even the West Coast game where we lost, but he almost single-handedly, off his own boot, really won the game for us and kept us in it for the second half of that game. He's a match winner, and you just kick it to him and he'll do the rest. And it's great that he's got a lot of support around him, and you've got someone like Rowan Marshall and Paddy Ryder that can rest there and take that extra defender away from him. But what we found in the second half of the year was he started using his body and moving more. He wasn't just standing and jumping at the ball, which was easy for defenders to just negate. Now he's moving, using his pace and being very clever with where he leads to the ball. And that's just giving him the best opportunity to kick goals.
And that's where, obviously, somebody like Cooper Sharman with his athleticism alongside him, and then Membry, who roams up the ground and, can create that sort of space, it can make them quite dangerous if you've got the three of them there. And obviously create plenty of chances for those crummers as well. So great work there by King. Great work by Steele too, who just walked through traffic with class. Sets it up in the direction of Max King. Got two hands to the ball. Lovely roving by Butler, front and centre. Slides that one through towards McKenzie, trying to get onto his left foot. Feeds the hand pass through instead to Ross. Back to Crouch. Crouch's kick didn't quite go the required distance, but was spoiled in any case. Very clever from Sinclair to Burns. Back to Sinclair. Open forward line. Long penetrating kick. Membry working really hard to track back into defence, which we saw him do a lot last year, particularly that game against Sydney in the middle of the year where he was working hard at both ends. Just kept alive there by Anthony Seaton, the Sandringham listed player. Goes over the top towards McKenzie, who's had a very big quarter. Gave it to Steele.
Jones is he's a bit angry.
And the ball will come back. It was a relayed free kick to Jack Steele after some treatment we're talking about there on McKenzie after he disposed of it.
Didn't quite work out, I should say, for the white side with that counter-attack from Jack Sinclair, but that was extraordinary. The clever one-on-one tap as Josh Battle gets a little bit of an ear massage there from
Max
King. But yeah, this clever tap on to Ronnie Burns then to get the receive back, and unfortunately just didn't have anything further up the field. But that's really great to see from the runner-up of last year's Trevor Barker Award, who really did reinvent himself as that dangerous half-back and has slotted into that role perfectly.
That Sinclair run and carry, which I think involved the one I'm talking about in the final against the Bulldogs in 2020 in that third quarter. I think it was, if you substitute Burns for Patton in that passage of play, it was almost identical, which set up that goal to Butler, which was towards the back end of the third quarter. He's been a star in the last couple of years, certainly Sinclair, as Crouch goes long, hugging the boundary line. King collapses the pack. Got a bit of a sort of a Mitchell Stark look happening with that moustache.
He does. He's grew it out for Movember and then got rid of it, and then it's been a quick addition to get it back in. So it's given that the intimidation a little bit. The very reminiscent, as you said, of Starkey, but definitely Mitch Johnson-like.
Yeah, absolutely. And he might have, if he has more of the, I know Stark can be aggressive, but Johnson certainly was. So maybe a bit more of that as Paris slides the hand pass through to Hayes. Hunter Clark gives that to Jones, who tumbles it end over end. Membry trying to trap that one on the half volley, did it successfully. Stepped through, kicks long towards the wing position. At the back of the pack there, it was Owens who had to fly. Made a good contest. Here's Zach Jones. Just ran out of room on the hand pass and only found McKenzie, who was charging over the boundary line.
We did speak about Tim Membry. He's spent the entire quarter just about locked in that defensive half. He's playing as the loose man down there at the moment, sort of floating in between Cal Wilkie with Darragh Joyce as they get a little bit of a jostle behind the ball.
Cal Wilkie forward, which is interesting as well.
Absolutely.
So Kent stripped of the ball there by Battle. Good battle between those two. In unintended pun, as the ball now will be bounced just outside the centre square on the broadcast side of RSEA Park. Campbell and Hayes. Campbell guiding that one down, but it was Steele. Then McKenzie sends it long, tracking back towards goal. Wood almost pulled that one down. There's Butler trying to charge through and brought to ground. The ball to be bounced about 40 metres out. Attacking to the Nepean Highway end of the ground. Campbell tries to flick it over the back. Taken out of there by Patrick Nash. Floats it down. It was touched off the boot, so it was Lynett that took the mark, but obviously mark not paid. Working through there is Sinclair, who escapes the clutches and then crosses defensive 50, where he finds plenty of space on that outer side. I'll work it up towards the wing position. Long will feed Hill, who kept on running, having been involved in the exchange across half-back. Sets it up towards Wilkie in that unfamiliar role. I only remember him having one shot at goal, and I reckon that was against Port Adelaide last year.
Yeah, minus score, I think, for memory. Yeah. So he's got the one behind to his name. Just needs one in the majors column.
Getting into Jamie Shanahan territory.
Yeah, 63 on the trot without a major yet. So hopefully that'll come in 2022. Don't see Cal missing any games due to form at this stage.
I think one of the loudest roars was when Shanahan had a shot on the run at Waverley. It hit the post. Hayes takes it out of there. Not unusual to hear the name Jack or Hayes in a St Kilda side. Chip towards half forward. It cleared the head there of Burns, but it was touched on the way through to Long. Chance for Hunter Clark to wobble a left foot ball down towards the top of the square. It goes over the back and over for a throw-in just beside the left-hand post.
And that kick there inside 50, which hit Ben Long, unfortunately did get a fingertip to it, was from Nazai Wanganeen-Malira. So a brilliant use of the foot skills there that we've heard so much about, Parko.
Absolutely, and that was a terrific touch from a number of those guys throughout the course of that term. Very entertaining quarter of footy. And Jake, as we let you go, I guess a plug for where people can find, obviously I'm sure a lot of Saints fans would be familiar with it, but where they can find your work.
Yeah, just on Facebook under Saints TV, Instagram at Saints TV Official, and YouTube at Saints TV. So pretty much anywhere Saints TV, and you'll probably find us.
Fantastic. Have a big year, and hopefully we can all celebrate together towards the end.
Sounds good. Thanks, boys.
We'll step away momentarily at the end of the third term, and a reminder also that there is a chance for you to jump on board the 2-for-1 offer on the membership, 1300 467 246 or saintsmembership.com.au. And also, if you are interested, as we look across to our right at the Danny Frawley Grandstand, it'll be open to the public on the 7th of March. You can have your name on a plaque and sit proudly on one of the 1,000 seats that overlook this magnificent venue. So same deal applies. To secure your plaque, 1300 467 246 or visit saintsmembership.com.au. Final quarter to come next. It's a 2022 member night at RSCA Park, powered by AIA Australia, who have some fantastic deals available for Saints fans that we'll touch on a bit later on. We have the score here, which was also verified at the venue. Team White 7-8-50, Team Black 6-4-40, which means that quarter was 4-1 for Team White. There were some jumper changes. We're joined by really good Gippsland stock, Traff Primary, Traff High boy, and Leo Connolly, and my old alumni as well, so certainly a little bit of bias in that regard. But Leo, thanks for jumping on with us. Copped a bit of a knock, but tracking okay?
Yeah, no, got another concussion on Friday at training, but yeah, had a session this morning, felt good. Heading in the right direction, which is good, so yeah, it's nice.
Hopefully all on track for that Thursday pracky game against the Blues at Icon Park, as we see the boys in their huddles at three-quarter time at the final change. Leo, I know you would have loved to have been out there for sure, but can we wind back the clock a little bit to when you first got to run out, which was that Richmond game? Can you take us through those wild memories that you had? And I know there was an eventful car trip in the mix as well in there. To chat through everything that happened, because that story is probably one that not every Saints fan knows, but is one that they should definitely be familiar with.
Yeah, if we're starting with the car trip, that's not a great start to the story, to be fair. I was sat in the back of Brad Crouch's car with Tommy Highmore as well, and I did not say a word. I was so nervous. Like, I didn't even know if I was playing at this point, and I was still absolutely crapping them. And then we got to the ground, and it all just became worse. I got even more nervous, and then went out for a warm-up, and JB came back in, ruled himself out pretty much, and I was told I was going to play as the emergency. So that was that was a good moment. That was, again, very nerve-wracking, and then being able to run out at the end of the third quarter was probably one of the best moments of my life. I remember running out and not being able to feel my legs. That was a bit bizarre and sort of bit of a surreal moment, really.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you did arrive at Marvel Stadium rather than the MCG.
Yeah, Crouchy decided he'd take us to Marvel, and we got pretty much all the way there, and Tommy turned and said to him, "Are we heading to the MCG?" And Crouchy's gone, "Oh, I'm not going to say that word," and redirected himself on his way to the MCG, which is quite funny.
We're going to give him the excuse being an ex-Crow, but he's a Victorian, so that probably eliminates any chance of that excuse.
There's no excuses for that. He drove to the wrong ground. He even had it up on maps as well, which is quite funny.
Dan Butler there just had one out the back. Unfortunately, a free against Max King on Dougal Howard, who wins the free kick. Haven't called much of his name, but he's been doing a pretty good job down as the key post, as that one finds Jimmy Webster, who exits the defensive half very cleanly to find Paddy Nash. Yeah,
that's been a good contest, the Howard King one at various stages of the contest, as Paul's chipped through towards Windhager, who had a very good start to the game, as that's fed through towards Bain, I think. It's chipped down on the left. He'd have a number 18 on the ground, from what I could gather, which is not Paddy Ryder.
That's a new one.
Zach Jones has it about 60 metres from goal, one of those that has changed jumpers, and a good mark taken for the second time by Oscar Adams, not the West Coast Eagles player, but Oscar Adams. Sends it down outside a defensive 50. At the back there, Jack Steele trapped it, sitting on his backside, gave it off to Membry, who kicks long down towards a one-on-one. Streaking back towards goal is King, shows some great speed to get away, breaks a tackle, goes on the left. It'd be a pretty special goal if he could jag that. Just couldn't quite straighten up, and it bounces across for a throw-in.
Now, that would have been incredible. Had Dougal Howard wrapped up, gave the push off. I think it was Jack Sinclair as well, bearing down just on his opposite foot. Squirted it out of bounds, but boundary throw, not the worst case result. Get a part two, hopefully, from Maxi.
We saw him do that a couple of times last year, where he'd sort of trap it at ground level and step through traffic and nearly kick some pearlers. You sense that's going to come at one point this season. Zach Jones feeds the hand pass to Highmore, then Wilkie. Wobbly left foot kick out. That was Oscar Lewis, who's another who's changed jumpers, but it's Hunter Clark who feeds the hand pass out, looking for Burns, who grabbed a jumper and gave a free kick away to Dan McKenzie. McKenzie on that left foot sends it down towards attacking 50. Hill was caught behind but did well to spoil Kent there. Kent laid a good follow-up tackle on Wilkie and is going to get himself a free kick. trapped the arms and won it almost within range. You can kick it a fair way. Player on the mark, 53 from goal. He'll spear a low ball in, and Higgins read that best and takes the mark. King was lurking not too far behind. You also had Membry in the vicinity, but it was Higgins that made the footy his own and took it 20 to 25 metres out.
Yeah, Higo kicked. It was only behind Max and Tim for the most goals last year. As that one has sort of floated up off the opposite boot. Not his cleanest effort as Highmore mops it up, finds Campbell, and then Paddy Nash as well to exit, goes long, pack forming underneath. Ben Long flies, and Sharman as well at the feet as he wraps up Jack Steele, who somehow squeezes that handball out, and the black side are out. They've got a man behind if they want to use him, but they use Wood instead, who goes again to enter 50. That one, ball in dispute, as Ryan Marshall here to mop up the crumbs. Crouch in again for a repeat entry. Timmy Membry sitting underneath that one. Bradley Hill with the spoil, and Cal Wilkie is wrapped up to bring an end to that passage of play.
So saw Brad Crouch in there. Is that customary, Leo, of Brad Crouch to make the odd brain explosion and drive to the wrong place or be late for a meeting or something like that? Can he be that way? As Mackenzie throws that one onto the boot and it sprays out of bounds on the full?
No, I don't take Crouchy to be that kind of bloke. He seems to be pretty level-headed and calm. I think that that one instance where he was driving to the wrong ground is sort of the only major brain fade I've ever seen him have.
Webster receives from Howard. Tries to clear the defensive end. So they've worked it up to 50 again, under where that old scoreboard was, and it is Finlay Bain, who's had a very good second half and quite lively. Oscar Lewis involved there. Zach Jones laying the tackle. The ball is fed out, and good hands. It was Darby Hipwell who was involved, another of the Sandringham players. The ball's sent forward. If it gets through, they've got a bit of space, but Dara Joyce won't allow it through, laying the big tackle there on Nash to hold it up, a brick wall, and that probably saved a goal.
Brilliant work there from both players. If Nash had to slip through, that would have been a certain goal there, but Dara Joyce putting the clamps on and not letting him get through once again.
Hunter Clark steps through nicely, opens up some space, and then just couldn't quite finish. Did all of the good work. You'd normally put down the glasses with Hunter Clark in that situation as the ball fed out immediately. Quick break to Mackenzie.
I reckon that would have been goal of the night, Leo. I reckon that one from Hunts.
Yeah, that would have been rather nice if that went through the goals. Stepped through a couple of players and just doing Hunter things, really.
Now, Leo, you've obviously been noted for your foot skills generally, and it was a well-documented one against Port Adelaide last year. Obviously slid it into the corridor, a beautiful kick in that last quarter. In terms of the licence that the coaching staff give you to back your foot skills in that situation, and if you think it's on, then you make the decision?
Yeah, pretty much. If I feel like I can pull off a kick, I think the coaches are happy to sort of see me go for it. Like, it's similar to plenty of other players. If they feel like they can hit a kick, then they have no issue in you going for it.
Speaking of the coaches backing you in, as that one finds Cal Wilkie now in the defensive half, which is nice to see. Spoke last year. You had yourself, obviously. You came out and played a couple of games towards the tail end of the season. Ronnie Burns started to lock down a spot. Guys like Tom Highmore started coming up the ranks. Cooper Sharman as well. What was that sort of like? I know the results column probably didn't reflect the year that we wanted to have, but I guess being able to get some games under your belt must have been a pretty good feeling, especially for the young up-and-coming corps.
Yeah, it was great to personally play a few games in the back half of the year there, and obviously seeing all the younger fellas have a go was awesome. And sort of the confidence in the coaches to back in us younger players and get the job done was good.
Very good work there from Zach Jones, I believe it was, who puts through another one, his first of the night as well. And the opening score for the White side this quarter?
8-9-57 they are, 6-4-40. In terms of your targets for this year, are there things in particular you're looking to build on? Do you set game targets? I mean, obviously in an ideal world you'd love to play every week, but is that the target you've set?
I think for me it's just to sort of keep working on the development of my game and my sort of physique, really just trying to get a bit stronger, get a bit fitter, and obviously just improve on the weaknesses of my game, but also turn the strengths into weapons, really, and just try and work my way into the best 22, which this year is going to be tough with everyone playing really well and everyone fit as well. It's good that there's a lot of competition across the board, really.
And I guess adding to that, there's a bit of a competition for spots as we go for the centre bounce here with Max Heath set to go up against Rory Marshall. With the two new boys, Jared Lynett coming into the squad and Paddy Nash as well, obviously have spent their time in the AFL system as Bradley Hill receives that one off Marcus Winhager, who won the free kick, fires it inside 50 and chopped off there. Can you speak about those two boys and what they've sort of brought to the table so far? I know their time in club colours has been limited, but what have you seen from them so far, Leo?
I haven't seen them a lot just because of the last week. I've been sort of in and around the club a bit at different times to everyone else, but just based off today, really, Jared looks like he's got an unbelievable kick. He kicked that goal from sort of 55 out and that sailed through comfortably, and Nash looks very zippy, which is awesome to see, and very handy with ball in hand too, so they both look exciting.
Yeah, they've looked promising, that's for sure. Higgins up on the wing position for Team Black, sends them down towards attacking 50. Membry at the back, split the pack, cleared the path for Dean Kent, and it's fifth time lucky. Pops it through, kick 4 in the white, 4 behinds in the white jumper, but Black agreed with him as he slams that one through. 7-4-46 to 8-9-57. 11 points the margin in favour of Team White.
Yeah, some great work there from Dean as well, and for Tim to sort of lay the path for him to run through and convert. Probably been a bit overdue, to be honest, for Dean. He's been pretty lively, I've thought. I've liked the look of him, just the little things. He hasn't been rewarded on the scoreboard, as we said, had a few narrow misses, but he has been involved in the thick of the action, and for a lot of the time he's been in a forward line that has been without Max King, Tim Membry, Cooper Sharman. He's been playing opposite. He was on the white team to start off proceedings, so good to see him sort of get a bit of a positive run at it now.
Leo, appreciate you stopping by and having a chat with us. Well done on continuing to do Trap High proud, and good luck with the season ahead.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So we're back in the middle. Marshall relieved by Hayes in the ruck, who's had a pretty good day as Jack Hayes. Went ball looking for King. Kent fed it back towards McKenzie, who floats the kick on the non-preferred out towards Higgins. Higgins will pop that over the shoulders. A very clever kick towards Kent, who kept on running. Turns around and hits it up towards the top of the square. Mason Wood will get a fly at that. In front was Max King, who hits the deck. Ball squeezed out. Didn't quite go the required 15. The mark was paid to Finlay Bain, who's been impressive. Chips it short to Ryan Burns.
Yeah, just the 3 went up there before the big pillars. Roe Marshall, Max King, Mason Wood all went up, and neither could get hands on it and cleanly bring it down as Tom Highmore looks to evacuate the defensive end at the moment.
Done a solid job. Obviously had that game against Brisbane last year where he took 13 or 14 marks.
He did in the Adelaide game preceding that as well. He was very strong there. I think he had 15 intercept possessions as well. It was very, very terrific. But that Brisbane game as well was a massive standout for him.
Another who got some injuries at various times.
Yeah, broken hand, unfortunately, spelled the end for his year. But good to see him back out there and completely unaffected, which is great.
Anthony Seaton sent that one inside. There's Sinclair with good quick hands to the aforementioned player in Highmore. Seaton again is there. Windhager, clever little knock on. And there, once again, it is Bain. Feeds it back towards Sharman, who, as we said, has been all over the ground. Lynett takes a really courageous mark, tracking back with the flight. That was good to see. He's had a nice afternoon. Chips it short to his captain. Jack Steele, top 5 in the Brownlow in consecutive seasons. Sends that one long towards attacking 50. King splits the pack after Marshall had been buffeted out of the way. Battles quick kick clear of traffic. Lewis steps his way through well. He's got an open forward line ahead. Didn't quite have the carry on it as it goes over the top there of Sinclair and over the boundary line.
Yeah, just got a finger on that. Sinks just juggled it over the line. Would have probably gone out on the full, but thought he could get a hand onto it. Unfortunately spills out and got a chance at goal here for the black side.
Who were within a couple of kicks. And it will be Hayes doing the ruck work there against Heath. Clearing ball taken by Lynett. Lynett trying to give himself some room. Wobbles it around on the right, bounces away from King. Hayes to Membry. Membry's high floating kick. Marshall's got to sit underneath that like an outfield catch and takes a good mark. It's a difficult mark with the ball swirling around in the sun, and he'll kick that from 25 metres out.
Absolutely. Not to mention the sun as well that would be coming across the ground. At the moment, it's been pretty tricky as well with a couple of up and under kicks this quarter, especially heading towards the left of screen. We've had a lot of sort of quick, hurried snaps that have just floated up, a lot of contested grabs that haven't quite stuck in the mitt, but that one there from Rowan Marshall brought it in nicely into his chest, and he's lined up for his first goal of the evening as well.
Good to see the big fella fit and firing at the start of the season as he pops that one through. And the margin back to 5 points. 8-4 plays 8-9. Team White holding the slender advantage for bragging rights. Of course, Carlton awaits next Thursday in the opening of those pre-season hitouts. And there's another against Essendon. Is it on the 5th of March?
Yep, at Marvel Stadium to be the one and only Amy Community Series game. So it's a nice
And the girls play that day too.
They do. Yep. At this stage, they'll be playing Geelong at that stage. So that one might be a day where that moves around a little bit, but it'll be the same weekend, which will be great to see. Obviously, it's been fantastic. And it's a nice little build-up, I guess, to have. The Intra-Club is one thing to sort of, not dust out the cobwebs. Obviously, a lot of training has been predominantly match simulation based, but to have that sort of, competitive full 18-on-18 hit out is great to see, and then you'll come up against the full oppo the following week against Carlton, week and a bit later have Essendon, and then before we know it, it will be that Friday night game on March 18th against the Pies as Hunter Clark gets paid for pushing the back for that one there against what looks to be Jack Hayes there in the centre of the ground.
Like Jack Hayes, as we've mentioned, up inside, target coming out. Again, there was Marshall trying to step through some traffic. Was Steele out to Higgins, down towards King at the top of the square. Dougal Howard did that really well. Good mark. Not just to get rid of his opponent, but to then, I guess, refocus and take the mark. So, kick goes across. Owens had a little bit of a look at that, but Battle takes the mark. He's got Sinclair in the corridor. He's still on, but he'll go a little shorter than that. And Webster, good to see him back last year after his own injury troubles. Had a very good 2021. Wilkie.
Very short kicks there. Like you said, I reckon they are getting the 15 metres by the centimetre. I reckon.
Yeah.
Very short kicks, but being paid nonetheless.
Great
As Max Heath, I should say, takes a very nice contested grab on centre wing.
And he's won some good hitouts against Rowan Marshall in this contest. So continue to like what he is displaying. He's got a lot of talent. As Team Black will switch across, and it'll come out towards Kent, who's been in a lot of space for a lot of the game. Will load up on the left. It's a good-looking kick into the pocket, and a very good spoil coming across there from Howard again, who's been very good. Max King had a little pocket to lead into, but Howard was awake. Forward line ruck battle between, I guess, master and apprentice in Marshall and Heath.
There's been some good exposure as well for him. I guess Max wouldn't have had this level of, competitive rucking aside from match simulation training sessions. Besides that, as Max King sits under that one, just loses a 2-on-1, but fortunately spills to ground. And Matty Allison
I think it hit the inside of the post. Yeah. Just
almost
hit the inside of the
almost
post.
to gimme that one, but just couldn't quite get through as Dougal Howard prepares to take the kick in. But as we were saying, it does take a while for the big men to sort of develop, but he's shown some good signs so far, Max Heath. I've liked the way he's gone about it, and as you said, going up against Rowan Marshall, one of the up and coming rucks of the competition, who in tandem with Paddy Ryder, who's not out there today, but should be out there for the match against the Blues, if not against Essendon. Looking pretty good so far.
As Burns goes in there, he was tackled by Steele. Patton got a hand pass out, then Wood followed up with one of his own. Long ball inside at the back mark, almost taken there by Allison. Sharked well there by Owens. Back to Allison, back to Butler. This is his specialty, just didn't quite get all of it. It was starting to bend back, but Wilkie had closed it down in the goal square. He'll chip it over the top. And they'll build via Nash down towards a 2-on-1, and only needed the one, and that was Darby Hipwell. Goes over the top. And they'll gradually build on that outer side. And that will be cut off in the air by another of the Sandy boys. Yeah, Seaton. And the switch is on. Into the corridor it goes to Steele, who's got an option on the far side, our broadcast side of the ground, and they can build down this defensive end via Wood, who takes a couple of bounces, pulls the kick in towards the corridor, trapped well there by Owens, feeds a hand pass through to Higgins, squeezes a little inside-out ball, well marked by Webster. That wasn't spinning straight, it would have taken some marking, travelling quick. And it's sent out wide. Windhager will leave that one for Finlay Bain. So Finlay Bain, certainly one to watch for the Zebs fans over the course of the season. Sends that one down the line. 2-on-1. Marshall in front position. Lays a big bear hug on Bytel. And now Zach Jones lays a big tackle of his own.
Should mention as well, Jade Gresham, as Jack Billings alluded to earlier in the call when he joined us, not playing the 4 quarters, just the 3, so his day's done. He's ticked all the right boxes he needs to. And Isaiah Wanganeen-Malira as well, not on the ground at present, but same as before, all the bright boxes have been ticked. So that's a hard day's work in for Nazire, and he should be right to go for the coming weeks.
And that's right, obviously Gresham would be such an addition to the team. Injured halfway through 2020, and then again, obviously, at the start of last year with that Achilles issue. Higgins' underground hand pass was effective. Stepping through there and bouncing it forward was McKenzie. Socket off the ground by Hill. Little clip over the shoulder there. Not sighted. That free kick would have gone to Hipwell. So at the back of that contest, it will be received by Higgins. Advantage not paid, as the quick kick out of that was ineffective. And Crouch will be the recipient. In fact, it'll go the other way. Yep.
Free kick to Jack Bytel by the looks of things.
From a different contest. So Bytel sets it up out wide. Good mark taken under a bit of heat. Chance for Marcus Windhager, who's had a pretty solid 4-quarter afternoon. Sets it up towards the pocket. Use of the body was good. At the back, Long, looking for a third second-half goal potentially, and was caught high. So he'll get the free kick in the pocket. He's enjoyed the switch to White in this game, having played in the Team Black in the first half, Team White in the second half, 2 goals in the third quarter. He's been good the whole way through.
God, probably wouldn't have seen it on our broadcast at the moment. Cal Wilkie just on the interchange bench, just sort of moseying his way up, just telling Longy, have the shot, take your time, don't rush it. So it looks like he's heeded that advice. Guy the banana, and that is he's struck it very nicely, but not quite there.
Just drifting across the face, and Rowan Marshall taking marks at both ends of the ground. He'll send that one long, and a little too long, out of bounds on the full. Plenty of distance on the kick, but it will come back in via Nash. His father playing 156 games with Richmond and Port Adelaide. Runs to about 52. Low darting ball down towards the top of the goal square. Almost a falcon on a couple of them there as Lewis received from Higgins. Ball sent out wide. Climbing high there was Owens over the back. It spills to Kent. Sweeping hand pass over the top to Seb Ross, who's got plenty of space on that outer side wing. Pulls the handbrake, chips it over the top. Well-weighted kick. And a chance for Team Black to build on that outer side. Chipping ball comes into Kent, who can wrap around onto that left foot. Goes a little shorter than that this time to Crouch. Chips it wider again, Wood. Still a couple of kicks from goal. He'll set this one up to about 20. Membry will get a fly at that. Got 2 hands to it. No mark taken. Steele laying another tackle. And then at the fall, another put on by McKenzie.
Tell you what, would not mind seeing a replay of that almost hanger from Mitch Owens down at the half-back line. That was terrific. He almost had 2 bites at it.
Quick kick, clearing ball down the middle of the ground, and there is nobody at all in front of Hipwell there. And as he turns in with ball in hand, the siren sounds to end a very competitive hit-out. A couple of well-selected teams with only 4 points between them. 8-9-57 for Team White, 8-5-53 for Team Black. The goal scorers, to the best of our knowledge, across the course of the game: Zach Jones, Jade Gresham, Max King, Rowan Marshall, Tim Membry, Jared Lynett, Mason Wood, Patrick Nash, Dean Kent, Jack Bytel, Jack McHale, and Nasiah Wanganeen, all with 1 goal. 2 goals to Cooper Sharman, 2 goals to Ben Long over the course of the game that we can gather for this afternoon. So pretty pleasing hit out. It looks like a clean bill of health across the board for the full list in this game, and those that didn't play not all that far away. But Chris, what were your major takeaways?
I think, as you said, clean bill of health is always a big tick of the box, especially for intra-club situations like this. You don't want to see any players go down. You don't want to see them go down ever, but especially in more controlled sort of environments like this. So big positives there. I like the midfield mix that we got. There was a lot of variation sort of through there. Obviously, you had your staples in Jack Steele and Zach Jones, who I thought was terrific. He had a nice little duel there with Daniel McKenzie throughout the evening, which I thought was a nice contest, a good appetizer for what's to come in the season. Brad Crouch looking pretty good as well. And as we look down to the defensive end as well, a lot of real good promise there. Jack Sinclair had some really damaging bursts again, so no surprises with that one. Bradley Hill looking very composed by foot as well. Got dangerous on the run as well. And then seeing the smalls like Ben Patton go at it, great to see. Jimmy Webster, Cal Wilkie, very unflappable as always. Dougal Howard putting up his hand to reassume that key post. So some really good signs. Mitch Owens, I think, is one that, especially after this game, Saints fans have heard a lot about him. And I know, as you said, Parko, on the draft night, we're sort of hoping he slipped past the top 20, so we'd be able to match him, obviously, with him being an academy selection and all. Beginning to see him in action, I think, for a full, proper 4-quarter hit-out has been pretty good. I think Saints fans will certainly love what they've seen. And I think, as JB alluded to in the early part of the season, we could see him play in the early part of the season as the Saints are clapped off by the faithful who have come down in their numbers for the intra-club game, the 2022 member night at RCA Park, of course, powered by AIA Australia, have done a fantastic job getting this stream to Saints far and wide. And for those who couldn't be down at the game, it's been terrific to see. But Parko, how about yourself? There's obviously a lot to take out of it and a lot to digest, but what are you thinking, or what's fresh in mind for you?
Yeah, putting the fans hat on, the 3 guys I was really keen to see, some probably more short-term and more long-term, Windhager and Owens certainly, and Heath, who's obviously a long-term prospect, but had the chance to call him a lot last year and looked really promising. So he looks quite at home here. He obviously was able to learn a bit off Marshall. He won some contests, took some contested marks, certainly developing nicely. It looks like his time in the AFL system has been beneficial, and it will continue to be so working under Marshall and Ryder. Owens, a lot of tricks. He was a real quick developer or late developer last year. As I said, he went from emergency in a rep game to probably best on ground in a rep game, then starred for the rest of the year. And I was getting nervous watching that, thinking, he's elevating himself up the draft list at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but got through. And Windhager, very similar as well. He showed good composure around the ground. I liked Cooper Sharman, who adjusted to playing on Cal Wilkie, who's a difficult player to play on, moved around the ground. He kicked a goal from a set shot and another one from crumbing, which shows his versatility. Mason Wood I thought was good. I thought Leinart was good. And Ben Long and Dean Kent, obviously 2 guys that are very dangerous, that can play a number of different roles. I think Ben Long, both of them mainly forward of centre, both very effective. So yeah, it was, what you're going to get from Crouch and Steele and Ross and Membry and Howard and those sorts of players. But I think, a lot of those other takeaways are a reason for optimism for sure.
Absolutely. And the 1 goal for Dean Kent finally got one through. A very nice one, must be said. I think you're right. We spoke as well earlier in the call about how, maybe if you're looking a few years back, there wasn't much competition for a couple of spots, almost sort of locked away. There wasn't much that could be done with that sense. But I think now if we look across the board, like in the forward line especially, those, the small forward mix now between Higgins and Butler and Kent and Long moving back there after he spent most of his 2020 across the half back line, that throws an interesting thing as well. I think Jack Hayes as well, should he end up earning a spot on St Kilda's list, all things looking pretty promising at the moment, but should he get in there, that's another interesting facet to that lineup. Obviously you've got Cooper Sharman coming into that sort of mix, who really coming in as a mid-season draft sort of surprised us all, especially in those last 4 games of the year. Obviously you got your spearheads in Max King and Tim Membry and Mason Wood as well, who are in that mix. So it's going to be a very interesting one to see. But the back line, I know we spoke about numerous times as well. There's a lot of guys flowing, putting their names in the ring. And same goes for the midfield with the new arrivals, obviously headlined by Mitch Owens, who I think it's fair to say has really caught our eye this game.
Yeah, and you look for little things. So obviously Wanganeen, Malera found a bit of space a few times, executed a set shot really well. And the other one was Oscar Adams, obviously player taken a bit later in the draft and didn't get 25 or anything like that, but took 2 strong contested marks in defence at each end of the ground and backed himself to do it. So the confidence he'll get from that, given he's flying in the air against players like Max King and players like Rowan Marshall and those sorts of guys, I think his ability to pluck a couple of those, I like that. So that's something to watch over the course of the year as both sides go out there to just go through a little bit of a warm down, if you will, and conditioning session.
Maybe. Yeah. I think we've heard a little bit about how Nick Walsh has brought a lot of running to the table, and I think we're seeing this potentially unfold at the moment as all the boys come out. Even after a 4-quarter game, there's always room for a bit more running. So that will be something that I think Saints fans will be happy to see. Absolutely.
Yeah, and for the diehard the diehard Saints fans, or the diehard Sandringham fans as well, I thought they really represented well. McHale kicked a good goal. Finlay Bain, probably the best of them. He was excellent.
Absolutely.
Oscar Lewis was good. Seaton good. We didn't see Reardon all that much, but Darby Hitwell finished the game well in the last quarter. So that obviously suggests that they've got a pretty strong base as well to work on, obviously, with the alignment with St Kilda too. So that was encouraging. We got the open training session as well for the AFLW side. Not all that far away, probably within the next 15 minutes or so once the conditioning session finishes. So obviously a couple of things of note to mention for AIA Australia, who have brought us to 2022 Member Day/Night. They are one of Australia's leading life and health insurance specialists. They're committed to the health and well-being of our community, and as a result, they're obviously helping us to power the soon-to-be-open Danny Frawley Centre. And they've got an offer. If you head to aia.com.au/Saints, sign up to an eligible policy before the end of March, so basically up until round 1, to receive up to $900 in Saints credit over a 3-year period. So a terrific deal available thanks to the partners at AIA. AIA Australia, head to aia.com.au/Saints. Chris, it's been great to be involved this afternoon.
Absolutely, it's been terrific. Obviously, it's been a long time since we've been able to welcome fans through the doors of RCA Park with construction works and COVID and lockdown and the work sort of in between. But it's great to have fans in the stands as well. It's been terrific. It's going to be even better seeing even more as we look across to our right at the Danny Frawley Centre for health and wellbeing. That grandstand there will be ripe and ready to go for the AFLW. They'll have 2 games here. Hopefully, all things going well, and hopefully we see those red, white, and black seats filled up with many Saints fans who'll be keen to see the Saints in action. Obviously, there's a couple of games scheduled towards the back half of the year, but hopefully we get to see that sort of come to fruition. And speaking of the Danny Frawley Centre, that is set to open on March the 7th. The DFC obviously will incorporate a 25-metre lap pool, a hydrotherapy pool, and a high-tech recovery centre, as well as a community gym, allied health services, and a wellbeing centre housing a host of psychologists, researchers, and program operators. Had our head of the DFC announced early last week in Kirsten Corbin. So all the things are falling into place. We're so close to opening up, and just make sure to follow the DFC on socials at Danny Frawley Centre. Make sure to tune into that on Instagram and Facebook as we look out. And right on cue, the boys are off doing a couple of laps of the oval, going opposite directions. So Yeah, no rest for the wicked, Parker?
Yeah, I was going to say that, no rest for the wicked, as they run past that Danny Frawley stand right now as we speak, team wide in any case, as we've got another group of players starting their lap again at a pretty good clip, and obviously the fans have stuck around for that and for the training session that we do have to come. And yeah, Moorabbin, obviously the heartbeat of St Kilda, and it's obviously very fitting that the name Danny Frawley would overlook this venue. Obviously played some fine football here and one of the finer names in the history of the club, and I'll certainly be seeking out the opportunity to get my name on one of those seats as well in that stand with the plaque. So it's been great. Thank you for having me down here, and a really good hit out, and yeah, bring on Thursday and the Blues.
Absolutely. So Saints fans, make sure you get them in your calendar. Thursday the 24th will be the practice match against the Blues at Icon Park. Tickets are available at saints.com.au. As well, we'll have the Amy Community Series match on the 5th of March. Round 1, obviously, will be happening on Friday night. A big one against the Pies on March 18th. And then the AFLW as well. The girls will take on the Blues this Saturday at Icon Park beginning from 5:10. And then the little bits and pieces of the fixture still to be finalised for the last couple of weeks. But hope to see as many Saints fans as we said, Parko. Normal has looked a bit different these last couple of years, but hopefully we return to some semblance of that in the coming weeks. And obviously it must be said, a massive thank you to AIA Australia for powering tonight's member night. It's been terrific able to not only have Saints fans here, but to stream this game to members who otherwise wouldn't be able to come. It's been terrific for all their support for tonight, and obviously for the Danny Frawley Centre for Health and Wellbeing.
Yep, and let's smash the membership record, because you're going to be able to go to the footy again this year. So a great opportunity to get along and support the team every week, and hopefully we can go sailing well past 50, sail towards 60, and celebrate hopefully a big year for the club. But that'll do us from Moorabbin RSCA Park, where a good hit out for the intra-club match. As we said, it's all onwards and upwards and powering towards round 1. But thank you very much for your company from Moorabbin.